So I'm ready to call our regular meeting of the Charter Revision Commission for May 8th to order. We all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of
States of
America
America,
and to the republic
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty,
justice
and
for
justice
all.
for all.
Thank you.
It's like Yankee Stadium. Dan was like Shepherd.
Yeah.
It's like Shepherd at Yankee Stadium.
I tried.
You gotta watch the echo.
I believe.
For sure. Okay, agenda item 3, Chairman's update. So thank you all for being here. We had I think was a productive second public session. A lot of inputs have come in through the website since that point. Good comments made at the meeting. And appreciate all of your thoughts and comments from that meeting. Here's the way I want to go through this tonight.
I don't want to lose you.
I think there are two main topics that I want to kind of throw out for the commission. We can hash that through. And then what I'd like to do is by individual input source, go through. So for example, Ms. Spolier was our first input that we received. I would say we walk through all Ms. Spolier's comments one by one, and then very simply, Ms. Spolier wants to paint all the fire hydrants purple. Does anyone else want to take up this issue? And if we all go, no, then we move on. If someone says, yes, I want to take up that issue, then we debate and vote on it. So that's the way.
Suggestion?
Please.
Not surprisingly, I did organize them all.
Yep.
And maybe my subject doing it by subject as opposed to the person.
Okay.
There's multiple people input on COO, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
That-
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, so that might be a better idea. So I sorted it, let me sort it by category. Got it. Okay.
It's just in, Eric organized something.
I know, go figure.
A miserable meeting without.
Yes.
Go figure how that happened. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. I think I am if I can figure out what the heck I'm doing here. Okay. Agenda item 4 is to consider and approve the draft minutes of April 3rd. Here they are. I'll try to make them as big as possible.
Can I just say that in one of the third minutes, we already approved the first two, so I was a little confused.
We haven't approved any of these minutes that are in the backup.
It's not what the minutes said when
I know we should correct that in the later minutes. I
Yes.
noticed that too. Because we said we had to correct stuff, but then it seemed to be we approved everything, which we couldn't.
Didn't we approve them subject to the correction?
Probably,
I think
maybe.
that's what the language was at the time, but
So if you look at the third set of minutes, you'll see that we approved the first two. Follow what I'm trying to say.
23rd?
Yeah, so that's
Okay.
why I was a little confused.
All right, well, let's go through it. So this is the April 3rd minutes. I'll scroll through.
The main thing, or the first thing is
Yes.
that the people listed were not at that meeting.
Yeah, so I was gonna, actually, thank you for doing that. The April 3rd meeting, I don't remember, well, I guess, was HR Director Simpson on video?
I don't think she was, because if you look at what we did, we didn't do anything involving any of those people, which just, I think all of these were on the March 20th meeting, because I know I missed it, and that was, I think you guys talked about it.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I know for a fact that Commissioner Brennan was not here.
Yeah, and Mr. There's big, I always say his name wrong.
I know.
Wasn't there at that meeting either, and I'm pretty sure Liam certainly wasn't.
So we don't know who actually was there, do we?
Well, I think it says later that it's Bill Gerber.
Well, and the other thing, no, that's, go ahead.
Sorry, it was, we did talk about WPCA, so the first selectman was there and also Mr. Marsilio was there virtually, so they should be the ones listed instead.
Okay, okay. So we need to change the others present to, you said, was Mr. Marsilio and whom?
And First Selectman Gerber, and delete from Kathleen through Mr. Charzam.
Right. Okay, so, Prue, on the draft minutes, under others present, we need to delete all the names up until Fair TV and replace that with, Mr. Marsilio and First Selectman Gerber. We all agree on that? Okay. Just rolling, are there any other comments? I know I don't have any comments myself. I'm just rolling through them real quick. Oh, that's right. All right, if no comments seen, I make a motion to approve as amended the meeting minutes from April 3rd, 2025. We have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Treshik. Any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Blanco, you're an aye?
Aye.
Next agenda item is to hear, consider, and approve the draft minutes of April 10th. Let's see here. We have Attorney Piers. Was Jason here? H was here on 2 meetings.
He's listed in the later.
I seem to remember him being here at this meeting.
I don't remember. I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm going to make, just Prue, under others present, can we please add CRC Attorney Jason Bushbaum? We all agree with that? I think that's accurate. And just to be, Commissioner Blanco was absent at that meeting. I don't have any further comments. Anyone else have anything? Now, this was the meeting, so let's just, this is 4:10. Was this the first review of the latest? Yeah. So this was the first meeting that we went paragraph by paragraph and said, what do you, so there's just a bunch of motions made to change words here and there. After the review, I went through it today, granted a little quickly, and it all seemed to tick and tie from what I remembered. There was-
I have 2 little typos, I guess I can.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
I think it's the 4th page.
Okay.
9.25A about the animal control director, it should be without cause, so you should delete the L. It says clause.
Oh, right.
And then a little further.
Okay. And is it animal control director? Is that the right title? I don't think it is. As officer, yes. So Prue under 9.25A.
That would be good if that was the typo.
Oh, that's funny. Even at 7 o'clock at night, that's still funny. Under 9.25A, change animal control director to animal control officer. And on the next to last sentence, change without clause to without cause. CAUSE, please.
And then about 5 more down at 12.3.C, the quote starts, "and shall publish the final budget," and there should be a close quote after that.
Oh, right, good point.
That's it.
Actually, 11.6 unanimously is spelled on.
Okay, Prue unanimously. Last word in 11.6 is spelled incorrectly. And in 12.3C, on the first sentence, open parentheses, and shall, open quotes, and shall publish the final budget. There should be a quotation mark to close that quote. We all good with that?
11.6 unanimously is spelled.
That's what I was saying.
Oh, you already said that, I'm sorry.
We unanimously agreed it was.
Unanimously agree, unanimously is spelled
There's
wrong.
space in your name. I don't know if that's
There
considered.
it is, yeah.
Okay.
There isn't, but that's all right.
I have enough issues
Used
with
to
mine.
that.
Okay,
I know.
I have no other comments. Motion to approve as amended the meeting minutes of
May 10th.
April 10th, 2025. Seconded by Commissioner McCann. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, Commissioner Blanco?
It's absent.
Oh, sorry.
I should
So-
abstain.
Prue, it would be 601.
Yep.
Thank you. Good point.
No problem.
I'll take up the meeting minutes, draft meeting minutes of April 23rd. This was our so this majority of this meeting was spent on WPCA and WPCF.
Yep.
I have a couple.
Now, is this the one you said we approved?
That's my understanding, but now I can't open it.
The only thing I can tell you is that at the top of, under 6, I made a motion to review and approve. I moved all of these out to 5-8.
Oh, that's right, you did.
So at that meeting, we were talking, we didn't have a lot of the meeting minutes. I said, let's just wait till 5-8 because we have so much stuff to get through tonight and on the 24th. So I made a motion that we move the approval out to this evening. So maybe that's what you read. Made a motion to review and approve the meeting minutes. Yeah.
And just to clarify, so the next night is the WPCA. This one's more of like tick and tying, going through the chart.
Okay, sorry. Oh, that's right, because Ms. Gore couldn't make the 23rd, but she could make the, yes, right. So this was the second time you went through the document and just touched it up even a little bit more.
I have a couple of things.
Sure, please.
In item 3, in the first paragraph, WPCF, it's the C and the P are
Oh,
reversed.
yep, absolutely. True in number 3, next to last acronym should be WPCF, not WCPF, please. Anything else?
And then, number 7, 2.3D, it's another quote thing. It's the first quote says, "and shall," and then there's a close quote, but it should say, "and shall continue until their successors have been elected and sworn into office," close
Yes.
quote.
Yeah. So Prue on under number 7, 2.3D, starting with the open quotes at "and," remove the closed quotes after "shall," and move that closed quotes until the word "office," "and sworn into office," close quotes. Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner Wackerman.
On the next page, 10.4.B.6. Was there something in there already about civilian review board? I didn't think we ever.
No, there's nothing in the charter currently on civilian review board.
Yeah. So this says it removed it or something? I didn't know what, I seconded it, but I can't remember what. that was.
10.4B6, now, just to be clear, we were working off of a red line document. So it's not in the charter, so hold on.
The civilian review board came up from the chief's recommendation.
Oh, that's right, yes.
And we were discussing whether or not to accept those recommendations, and we declined to accept civilian review board. Essentially declined to accept appointing the police commission as the civilian review board.
Right. So what's the first part of this where about a motion to remove?
These are the comments that the Chief Calamaris
Oh,
added, and
Phil
we.
had already put it in.
Yeah, so Phil had put,
Oh,
so
okay.
the way we had been operating at that point was because we were trying to keep ahead of everything. We were not waiting until the meeting minutes got officially, well, because we're doing them tonight, right?
Yeah.
But we were kind of cheating a little bit and putting them in the document so that when we review it the next time, right?
Got it,
So,
okay.
so yeah, that's a very good point. So what we're talking about here is here's the first iteration. The second iteration, red line, where Chief Calamaris had added something, so.
That's all I have.
But good point. Okay, thank you.
Can't see anything with these
You know, the
lines.
disabilities,
Disability, it says and percentage disability. Probably just supposed to be and disability.
Yep, that's correct. Prue, under 10.8A, in the first sentence, after the "and" percent, there's a percentage. Can you remove the percentage, please? It should just say "and percent disabilities." Okay, I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of April 23rd, 2025.
Second.
Commissioner Wackerman is seconding. Any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
601 with Commissioner McEnery abstaining.
Guy in the end of the table.
And last but not least, let's see, agenda item 7, to hear, consider, and approve the draft minutes of April 24th. Whoops. This was the WPCF night. Thank you. We had, okay, this meeting, Commissioner Blanco and Commissioner McCann. No, were you missing for that meeting?
I wasn't at that meeting, Chair.
Well, I know you weren't, Commissioner Blanco. I'm trying to remember.
Scroll down or up for just a second.
24th.
24th. I think you were. You missed 2 in a row, and I think it was the
Second night in a
24th.
row, Brian.
That was the first two, the two.
Yeah, I think you missed the 23rd and 24th because you had a conflict that maybe you. Okay. Okay. Any comments? There's a lot in here, but a lot of it is we just want to accept in its entirety the input from Ms. Gore. So, not a lot of words. That's why it looks very short, but it was quite a lengthy meeting and quite a lot of good content. So I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of April 24th, 2025. Seconded by Commissioner Hope. Any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 700, Prue.
I was out there. I was not in that.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, it's
Six-
abstain.
6-0, are you abstaining, Commissioner McGinn?
I'm voting for.
Okay. 601, Prue, my apologies. Okay. Good. Agenda item 8, discuss the CRC comments from our May 1st public session. So, two big, as I said before in the comments, I just want to take up two big topics and we'll walk through one by one. The first one is the Chief Operating Officer. There were comments by Ms. Griffin. There were, I think one other person made comments, but specifically talking about the fact that, and I was gonna bring this up here. I think it's 10. Sorry, I should have gotten here first. There it is, 9.14. Let me try to make it as big as I possibly can. So the two issues that were brought up were the fact that some people had a problem with the fact that this role was appointed by the first selectman and not the Board of Selectmen. And the second comment was that the Chief Operating Officer will be an ex officio member. So those comments came up. I also received multiple calls on this topic, and except for one, everyone agreed that they agreed that it would be better written as Board of Selectmen and non-ex officio. So, and I just want to go on record, I'm agnostic here, so just sharing what I heard, not advocating for one position or the other. So,
Two just other comments that.
yeah, so let's start with the first one.
Well, I've just seen two other comments related to COO.
Ah.
So Ms. Ewing, your point was fixed already, the extra removed without cause. You pointed that out, so the attorney's already fixed that.
Okay.
And then the second one's just the idea of making it apolitical across terms, just FYI. That was
Okay.
the other comment related to COO that came in.
Great. So yeah, you're on the list already, so that's good. Yeah, thank you very much.
I guess on the first one about the first
First
selectman, maybe the first selectman and then confirmed by the Board of Selectmen. I don't know. Because I think in both of this administration and the last one, it seemed like it was sort of the first selectman's right-hand person. So I would think he or
Yep.
she should, hopefully have a big role in choosing the person and then.
The idea of like nominated in a way,
Yeah, maybe something
Nominated,
like that.
confirmed by.
The majority of the comments, I think, that were made and that I heard was, most people felt that the Board of Selectmen made it less political than the first selectman.
So
I guess I can see, again, I'm agnostic here. I can see where that, would resonate with some people, but
I mean, yeah, because I guess they're not, sorry, they're,
Now, what if they,
go ahead.
no, go ahead, Commissioner Wagner.
Commissioner Wagner.
Maybe we're saying the same idea, right? Because the first selectman would bring it to the board and say, I nominate this person, and then the Board of Selectmen would.
We never bring up nominating. We always say
Y'all speak up a little. I
Sure.
can't hear the discussion,
Oh,
especially you.
Mary's very quiet.
So,
Allergies.
go ahead, I'm sorry, Commissioner McHenry.
As I recall, the general topic, the idea here was that our town government needs to undergo in the future a reevaluation because the manner and method in which it operates is not
For its scale?
Streamlined.
streamlined.
Yeah.
And so the board of, the first selectman, the process we talked about was giving that the person the tools to be more effective in the running of the town government. So now we have a chief operating officer. And then on this ex officio concept, the first selectman can't be everywhere at once. The chief operating officer, being an integral part of the first selectman's duties, now has the option and the access to act on behalf of the first selectman as an ex officio officer. Everything is political. The fact that someone says, giving the vote to the Board of Selectmen makes it less political is in fact political.
Of course. Right.
So why do we dance? Why don't we just empower the first selectman to pick the chief operating officer as it was discussed?
Yep.
Let that be an ex officio member to the other boards. And if the first selectman's job isn't done well and the chief operating officer's job isn't done well, the people go to the ballot box 4 years later. I mean, I know we're all supposed to be polite, but there's a point in time where politeness doesn't do the job. And so my view would be, it's my view, I thought that was the discussion we had, and I thought that was the conclusion we reached.
I would prefer sticking with that. I wonder if ex officio needs to be defined, because there's a
Well, so
voting-
thank you very much, because that's right where I was gonna go, right? So, I thought we might take these up as separate topics, but if we're gonna talk ex officio, could you define ex officio for me,
So-
please?
So Jason and I talked about this, and we agreed that it really doesn't have to be defined. It's a term of art. It's in Robert's rules. An ex officio member is a member without vote of the body who can make motions, second others' motions, but can't second a motion made by an ex officio member. So I think their rights are defined already. And we have lots of other.
Okay. No, I'm,
Non-voting though?
I'm not asking you to define it in here, I'm just, I
I
want.
found a bunch of different, and actually Mary started the conversation and challenged me, because I thought it was defined, but Robert Rules actually doesn't define it as non-voting. It's from the Latin meaning of the
An ex
board.
officio non-voting member.
And Robert's Rules says it depends upon the bylaws of that particular board, whether they're,
We might be right about that. Then, so
it
then.
actually says
well,
it grants them all of the powers of the.
Then you should, if you don't want them to have, then make it express that it's ex officio without vote. I think that was your intent.
I think that was the intent.
Yeah,
I agree.
I will say on the ex officio topic, I've changed my mind on the ex officio topic. And I'm looking at a current Board of Education member who I think is, so somebody called me this week, said, Chris, how would you have liked it if the COO walked in every Board of Finance meeting and made a motion? And I'm like, I wouldn't have liked that at all. And, we had, the CFO was in every Board of Finance meeting, couldn't make motions, didn't run the meeting, right? So, I've come off this ex officio thing. It's not even voting for me, it's the motion. The motion thing is more of a more problematic for me. And this person who was calling me is on a current commission. And again, this person said, I really don't want the COO to come in making motions at my commission meeting.
But wouldn't that be reflective of an unhealthy atmosphere that otherwise doesn't exist? I mean, to point out the problem, okay, Chris, an ex officio member comes to the Board of Finance meeting and makes a motion every meeting. Okay, so if Chris and the Board of Finance don't have proper communication with the first selectman or the Board of Selectmen to say, listen, call this guy off or this woman off. I mean, it's just reflective of a bad outcome, that anything can be a bad outcome. The idea here is to allow the function of the first selectman's office to be more streamlined. I don't know, this is just me thinking, I'm not the one running the government.
I just want to point out, so the current language is ex officio without vote. That's the current draft that you guys had discussed. So
Ex officio
it's not
without-
a voting member, just to be clear. Based on what the.
And this is I took this off, without vote, yes, thank you for that, right. So-
Clarifying question then, though, if we make it where ex officio without vote, without motion, that person can still participate in discussion. Can quote unquote
Basically-
sit at the table and participate, offer commentary? Or does that person say no, they have to wait until the very end to say public comment?
Well, I mean,
So if they're a member of the body, they would be able to participate in discussion as a member of the body, not wait for public comment.
That's my assumption. So that's the important part, I think.
That's the important part,
Jerry,
right.
that
I think
they
that's
can
where-
That's what I
participate.
gathered from
Right,
it.
but if we were able to limit it to say no motion,
Yeah.
no vote, then they're still at the table participating, which is the crucial angle. I
it's
think.
what I think we all were talking about. I think we wanted it to be participatory, but not, I don't know what
Not
the word.
controlling.
Yeah, maybe not controlling, yeah.
I made another point that the ex officio was not necessarily welcome at a closed executive session because you sort of have to be invited if you have testimony. If you have testimony and something to say on behalf of the first selectman, they could go, but otherwise they couldn't go and speak. That's an FOI thing.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
It doesn't mention.
Yeah, what I guess I don't want to do is say, this person is ex officio, except for voting, except for this, except for executive session, except.
You neuter the job.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no, the requirements of FOIA still apply, so to the extent the person would not be allowed to attend a meeting, they're not allowed to attend a meeting.
But can they attend executive sessions?
Yeah, if they're.
Yes,
an
if they're-
ex
if they're
officio
a
member of the
member.
board.
If they're not ex officio, then they can only attend if, as Judy said, if there's an executive session and their testimony is necessary for the board. So that's could be perceived as a benefit to have, or not to have them be a member of the body.
I truly think that the sentiment that when we discussed this was that we were looking, again, for participation, rather, because, I think this first came up, we were talking about the WPCA, I think, right?
Way of
And Ms. Gore said, I definitely want COO there. And then we were like, well, okay, so what is this person doing? I mean, there's already a selectman there, yeah, so.
I mean, I get that it wouldn't be elegant necessarily, but what's the issue with saying COO has ex officio rights in all boards and commissions, excluding motions, voting, and executive session? I don't feel like that neuters it. I think it focuses it on the clear participation points, which we're really talking about.
I have no trouble with that.
I think I agree with you because I think it would neuter it.
You think so?
I
Okay.
do.
In what way?
Well, I don't think they would make a motion. I think I've never seen it in my 10 years
Okay.
on the RTM and watching other boards. So I don't think that, and then executive session, I don't know if that's a problem either, because the person's probably really going to be kind of standing in the shoes of the first selectman if they're there. I would think in general, they might be there instead of the first selectman, or, so maybe they should be part of those discussions.
I agree with you. I mean, like I said, I was ex officio to the RTM. I went to many RTM meetings. I never made a motion, ever. But this role is a little bit different, right? This is a full-time role. Well, it doesn't have to be full-time, but let's just presume for this discussion, it's a full-time role. It's acting on the, in large way on behalf of the first selectman.
I guess my thing would be, if they're ex officio and the first selectman is there, aren't they supposed to be, they're ex officio because they're replacing the first selectman?
Oh, you mean, are they an alternate or are they additive? That's an.
I think they could
They're,
both be.
they're additive, just like.
They're additive, yeah.
All the selectmen are ex officio. They don't
Right.
vote on boards and commissions. So, I mean, they all don't go to the meetings, but they could.
They could all go and they could all make motions and they
Currently.
could all do,
Currently.
they could, like a board member, right?
Because we'd been discussing about the first selectman can't be everywhere at once, and it was sounding like it was in lieu of the first selectman, but that's
Yeah,
not always the
I think
case.
I misspoke because I was
Yeah.
saying that.
So it
I
could-
think that's what the intended outcome is. And so if the redundancy is the first selectman is going to show up with the chief operating officer, then they're only pointing out their own redundancy. I wouldn't expect that would occur.
Yeah, it means a fair point, yeah.
I wouldn't expect that would occur. Again, it's like, is the process, is the system healthy or is it unhealthy?
Yeah.
And if we're going to put a charter out anticipating grown-ups in a healthy system, which is not necessarily a given anymore, and I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
that, but speaking to the unhealthy or trying to fix the unhealthy all the time, that you tie yourself in knots.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I'll go to Commissioner McCann. We're not doing this for this administration or the next administration. We're doing it for the next 10 years of administrations, right? Because we've self-imposed a review every 10 years. So, Commissioner McCann?
I was just thinking, I mean, that's actually the point I was gonna hit on, Chris, which is like, we're not making this for this administration, so like, the level of trust in this administration is completely moot, right? Like, and as far as like, that argument about like fear of authority goes, well, the entire charter is written, the entire constitution is written.
Exactly, I was gonna
for
say, right, yeah.
Fear over, regarding fear
Sure.
of actions or inactions. I just think that I think it needs like a little more thought because, I mean, there are like, for example, and again, I'm not suggesting anyone in this administration or anyone particular would get involved in these items, but there are boards where there are like quasi judicial decisions that are being made. Inland wetlands, zoning board of appeals, board of assessment appeals. They're quasi judicial. They're deciding somebody's property rights. Like, would that board, would it work as well? Would the members, like you said, appreciate having some outsider come in and weigh in on like whether this person's taxes should be reduced or whether,
Right.
this cease and desist order should just go away? And like I said, you can't say that we shouldn't fear that because the entire document is written regarding
Fair point.
fears.
Fair point. First Selectman Gerber.
But I would say I'm ex officio on every board. I've never, as an ex officio member, made a motion. Board of CFO is ex officio on Board of Finance, right? I've never seen a CFO. So you guys are worried about something that just doesn't happen.
Is the
as far as I
CFO
know.
ex officio?
Yeah. on board
Yes,
finance.
oh,
I
okay,
think so.
okay.
I mean, I could see you could go down that path and worry about it in certain administrations that might be kind of nutty, but I've never seen it happen. And it wouldn't happen here. The point really is that this has become a bigger and bigger job if it's done right, and I can't go to every meeting. David Becker and when David was CFO, interim CFO as ex officio, we basically collaborate on everything. So, we were in step with what the administration was doing, so he could go and represent me at meetings. There was one meeting after, he became COO where he was not invited to the table, and not even to sit at the table. And there was concern, okay, the role now, his role and his ability to communicate things to me will change. Never had an intention to make a motion, just to be part of the conversation and ensure that if he knew there was a priority of the administration, he would have a chance to say it, because sometimes boards aren't really aware of what's going on other boards or in the administration. And if they won't allow someone to talk about it, then they'll continue down a path that may not make sense really in the end. So, that's really where, from that standpoint, that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you might have missed my preamble here. We're discussing comments that we've received, so
No, I get it.
there's not necessarily any of our, except for the thoughts we're sharing right now, but.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
Is there an issue of because I think personally, information is an excellent thing. And so to that part of Mr. Gerber's comment, I think I completely agree, me personally.
Yeah.
Information, and I've lived through examples, just being involved in multiple municipal governments. I've lived through many examples of what he's describing. But I guess my question back is is there an issue if that is presented at some sort of other, for example, a public participation session, is that problematic? For example, you as first selectman, you see, I see that the Board of Finance is going to discuss the pavilion or something that I'm really interested in. I need this information disseminated. Can that be disseminated in a public information session, or does it have to be in the normal discussion with the?
Well, it can be in public information, but that's comment.
Yeah.
It's not a dialogue, so you won't have a back and forth with someone on a board. And some of these topics may be complicated and require a back and forth.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, we can take this in bite-sized pieces, so let's take up the appointment. Let's start with that. So, Commissioner Wackerman brings up a good point. Maybe appointed by the first selectman and approved by the Board of Selectmen?
I think I've changed my mind.
You have? Oh, okay, sorry.
Commissioner McEnery changed my mind. I think I would still say the first selectman. I think.
Okay,
I agree with Commissioner McHenry. I like the idea of the streamlining the government and giving those that are charged, who we lend power to, being able to administer properly. And that was exactly what was discussed the last time we sat.
okay, then I'll defer to my rules at the beginning of the meeting. Would anyone else like to take up the change from first selectman to Board of Selectmen? Unseen. We'll move on. The second is the shall serve, sorry, where is it? Chief Operating Officer shall be an ex officio member.
It defines it elsewhere.
No, it says.
It says, right now, it says, shall be an ex officio member without
Without
vote.
vote. That's the current language.
So we want to add without motion making ability, is that how you phrase it?
I'm in favor of that, actually.
I am both from a how it works, but also I think there's a perception aspect that we should think about from the public that we're not creating like an extra selectman in a way, that we're gonna like, hey, no, this person's there for informational purposes, therefore they can't drive the agenda at the meeting, but they can participate in the agenda. So I am in favor of limiting it in some way.
I'll make a motion to,
Well,
okay, I'm sorry, please.
I would make a motion to keep the language as is.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second that. And
Okay.
just on that point, the CFO is ex officio to the Board of Finance, but we haven't deleted that ability to make a motion. And then other people are ex officio to the RTM, and we haven't deleted that ability to make a motion.
Okay.
So, and I wouldn't advise that we do, but it seems like it's kind of calling it out.
Okay. So we don't stand on formalities here. Why am I drawing in your last name, Jen? Jacobson, thank you. Why am I'm sorry. Please, do you have a comment? I see your,
It's more of a question for Phil probably, is that as agents of the state, when we do grievances in executive session and personnel evaluations, how would that work?
you just don't get invited, right?
No, because he just said that as ex officio, they would automatically be invited, so this is, I don't have a thing right now, but I'm gonna raise this as a flag. If, around personnel matters especially, I mean, I have it flagged anyway as one of my concerns, but, now that you're talking about executive session,
I mean, how is it handled currently with the other ex officio members, like the selectmen?
I don't know, but they're elected, this is an appointed position.
Yeah, that's
Elected
the
versus
big difference here,
appointed
yeah,
is
yeah.
the difference. So it's not, again, it's not about what is currently happening or not happening, it's about what you're enshrining into a document.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'll kick that to the lawyer. How would that work on personnel grievances or evaluations that are handled in executive session by the Board of Ed under state statute?
I mean,
Attorney
the
Fears.
documents making him ex officio on that body, so he would be a member of the body.
Does
That
come-
person would be allowed to be in those discussions, is what we're trying to say.
Is that, under the statutes pertaining to grievances, would that be okay?
That question, I don't know the answer to that.
Including like evaluation of the superintendent?
I've been to many meetings, and when the attorney or assistant attorney attended the meetings, it had to be under the FOI document. The FOI laws decide who's going to be at an executive session or who isn't.
But again, I think the town attorney has already told us that if you're ex officio, by his ruling is that ex officio means you can vote, you can make motion, you can't vote. So we've already taken vote out, but right, you can make motions and you can attend.
The state statute, it says if you're there for testimony or a reason by virtue of the subject being discussed, then you can be invited to the meeting. And you can be excluded if you're not.
I appreciate your input, but at this point, I really would like our town attorney to make that ruling. I don't want
Look
to.
at the FOI laws.
Well, so it's true for executive sessions. I mean, there's a provision on that you can invite people in that are necessary to give testimony to the
Right.
body. That's not the issue that Jeff's
No,
raising.
no, it's not. No, it's not.
And I guess the thing that I'm struggling with is if the first selectman is currently ex officio, is that correct?
Yes.
Then this is kind of like academic, isn't it? I mean, like, so we're arguing whether now his or her appointee can have the same right. That's all we're discussing. And I'm not, no offense to Jen, I'm not persuaded by the elected versus appointed. I mean, they're acting in their stead. They're acting as their proxy. Like, I mean, at some point, if someone abuses that proxy privilege, then they get voted out, like Jared said.
Fired.
Or fired.
Or fired, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Or
if the-
an ethics
Commissioner Blanco?
issue, or an ethics,
Mhm.
incentive comes out and we deal with
Yeah,
it
yeah.
from an ethics standpoint. There are checks and balances relative to that. I agree with Commissioner McCann.
But I think Ms. Jacobson is asking about particular statutes that might have different rules, which I guess Attorney Pierce is looking at. But I agree with you in general.
I think those things can be dealt with separately. I mean, like we have a code of conduct. We have a very specific language in the, I'm drawing a blank, not the grievance procedure, but the, you know,
Ordinance or?
the ethics and the need to know basis and the confidentialities and things. I mean, if a chairman wants to say, listen, we're gonna hold an executive session and this ex officio member is not invited for these very specific reasons,
All
let
right.
the first selectman challenge, let him
Right.
take the board to court or something. I mean,
Yeah.
Does the
Yeah.
board, does the chair's ruling like hold? Is that what, does the chair make the determination, say you're not allowed in the executive session?
I don't think the chair can supersede the charter.
Let's
That's what that would be
assume,
doing, yeah?
Yeah.
let's assume it comes down to that type of a situation where a chair wants to exclude the ex officio member. At that point in time, the first selectman steps in and goes to the executive session. I mean, when you get down into the, nitty gritty, it's again a matter of professionalism, decorum, and expectation. So I accept the fact that grievances or executive sessions to deal with personnel matters are very important and very private. Maybe one would expect that such a situation, the first selectman would be attending that and not the ex officio member because it is that important, or it's
Yes.
taken in that regard. My point would be, you empower the position and expect people to carry it out in a proper way.
Yeah, and to add to that, I mean, these meetings have to be noticed with an agenda item, right? So it's not like there's gonna be a Board of Education meeting next Wednesday and we're gonna talk about this topic. And Bill Gerber knows this is an important topic that I probably wanna go to myself, and I don't want to send the COO in my stead, right? So, for me, the without vote takes away the political component. Because with a vote, just like, every time I want to supersede something you just said, I'm going to send a COO and he's going to vote against you every time. So that for me took away a lot of my out here. So, all right. Well, we have a motion on the table to do nothing, and a second to do nothing. We have any further discussion?
Are we gonna be a do-nothing crew?
We are going to be a do-nothing crew. All in favor of doing nothing, say aye. Okay, thank you very much. And so I'm going to go to your list because I did not think that this would work out the way I thought it, but this is perfect. So if we're going to leave a COO to make it, so we had a comment that from Ms. Bennell said we should make this apolitical with a longer term. So from the way I understood her comments is, so Mr. Gerber appointed Mr. Becker as COO. The term, I think what Ms. Bennell is saying, well, that person should be able to hang around for 6 years at a minimum so that it overlaps with the next administration, whether the next administration is, the same administration or not. Would anyone like to take up this topic?
You don't have a term, right?
They don't have a term. No, but I mean, when you
it's kind of
talk,
like
when you say
trying
things.
to make a COO a town manager. isn't it?
That's exactly my point, and this is what I don't like.
But it's not.
No, it's not. But yeah, I close my eyes and open it quick. That's what I see as town manager there. It's a apolitical with a multiple administration term, right? So.
I'm not against town manager form of
Right.
government.
But that's a different topic.
I actually think it
But this
works
is-
really well in some
But this isn't what
towns,
we
but-
have right now, so.
Let's just
Okay,
not
would
try to
anyone
make
else like to
something.
take up this term? I'm leaving it to the commission if we don't take it up.
It's up to you.
Yeah. If we take it up, I'm more than happy to listen, hear your comment. So, does anyone else want to take up this comment? Okay, we'll move on. Remove extra, I think we did this, yes. Was there a second remove without cause?
Yes,
It's done.
Okay, excellent. We've already addressed the shift from first selectman to board of selectmen, and we've talked about clarify ex officio rights. So thank you very much for the CO discussion. The other big topic I wanted to address was, I mean, there's a bunch of RTN topics, but there's one that is just, been blowing my phone up, and it is our addition of
RTM approval.
RTM approval.
So if you go up to the top, boards and commissions, that's where it is.
Oh, okay.
So on row 5 and 4 and 5, 5 and,
And Cs.
I guess 5 and 7.
Yeah, that's fine, right. So the current charter, there's very few exceptions, but pick one. Board of, Flood and Erosion Control Board. Today it says, shall be appointed by the Board of Selectmen. We've changed it to, and approval, a majority approval of the RTM. And we've done that for every role. And that has been, again, that topic, like I said, that's been blowing up my phone all week. And people are worried that, again, go where Jerry went, that this makes it political. Now, there were two things. One, people says makes it too political. I'm not too worried about that. But Commissioner Brennan brought up a really good point to me. She called me up and she said, Chris, when did you get approved to be a charter revision commissioner? And I said, it was like early October. Okay, so if the RTM had to approve it, so you would have gone to that meeting at the Board of Selectmen, and then you would have waited for a couple of weeks, so the RTM, so it does lengthen the process of all these people getting on. She brought up an example where she's gonna term out in November, and if her replacement has to go to the Board of Selectmen and then the RTM, that there would be a period of time where they would be lacking one commissioner. I trust her math, but that's the comment that was made.
So just on that, I mean, what typically happens is the vacancies filled to take effect upon the expiration of the term. So there's usually no gap.
So it would have been already completed, is that what you're
Yeah, I
saying?
mean, if there's somebody that's willing to take the seat, that's been the way it's.
So if we know someone's gonna term out of the fire commission in November, we would have already gone through the process of getting it.
You can fill I mean, they can say it's filled as effective as of a certain date. And that's happened before with other boards when they know that there's a vacancy that's opening.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's certainly a legitimate comment that it's more meetings, but, I think
Yeah.
that you could have the vacancies.
The timing isn't.
The timing.
So the timing isn't as critical as I'm making
Well,
it
it
out. to
depends, I
be,
mean,
but, yeah.
if there's nobody that's put their hand up for it, then yeah, you are gonna have.
Or if it's an emergency thing, I have to quit tomorrow.
Right, that's
Yeah,
true, if it's unanticipated.
If it's
yes.
unanticipated, that could be, so. First Selectman Gerber?
I mean, I've rarely seen someone not get voted on, because most people on the RTM appreciate anyone who's willing to put their hand up and serve. I think in my 10 years, there was one person I didn't vote for because they weren't qualified for a certain position, and I ended up being right. But it's very, very rare. For me, it's a practical issue. The agendas are typically long. There's a lot of appointments. Certain times of the year, it will fill up an agenda. I'm curious how this came about, whether the RTM actually wants this. Because I think if we want RTM.
It's a good question.
I don't know why they would want to do this, because they always vote for people unless they're, experts.
I don't think Ms. Spolier commented on that, did she? Because that would be funny, because if she said, yeah,
No, we actually developed this when
We
we
developed
were
this on our own.
looking at inconsistencies, and we're like, why are some approved by
Yes, we
RTM
did.
and not the others?
Yeah.
I'm like, why not just make them all? Because in
Yeah.
an ideal world, it sounds like a good idea, but.
I think it's,
Practical
it's
terms.
really impractical.
I'm sorry, it's impractical?
Impractical, but I think it would be nice to have more RTM participation in selecting and putting forward candidates, and like Greenwich does something like that where they have a subcommittee, but that would be maybe rules to regular.
I was gonna say, that's outside of the charter.
That would be the RTM
Yeah.
could have a nomination, committee or something like
Then
that,
they'd always
but,
support them.
I'm sorry, what?
Then they'd always support them.
Well, yeah, and they always do. I mean, the only people, like sometimes ethics people, complain about a certain nominee, but I've never really seen, have you, Karen? There are very
No,
few
I think
people
with
get
this-
voted down. Yeah.
No, you're right. I think this, I might have even raised this. I think it came up in perhaps the prior administration when the RTM felt like we really never knew, we never were part of any discussion of who was being nominated, and there was a big groundswell of wanting this for the RTM to vote. I've been asking my caucus, and I don't think there's a big groundswell of support now, so I'm willing to.
There's not.
I think
No,
there's,
I mean, I think they think it makes sense because there's 40 people who are vetting somebody also,
Yeah.
and that's not a bad thing. But I'm not getting like lots of responses.
they're not
to my
really,
question.
to really participate in the process, they would need to go out and find, I mean, it makes
Mm-hmm.
sense for 40 people to have tentacles out into, the community to find people, put them forward, but not voting on people because people they don't really participate. They
Yeah.
always vote.
Yeah.
I was on that body for
This is
10
just a
years.
distribution of a resume so that you could go up in front of somebody and.
And there are ways there are ways to do that, have them give access to the RTM to applications, which I always thought we should, but
Yeah.
Commissioner
Yeah, that's-
McHenry, excuse
I'm
me.
not seeing the same.
I recall it, as Eric has already stated, that we were dealing with a particular provision within the charter. It required RTM approval.
Right.
And then the conversation rolled over into why not have that for other appointments or nominations? And now my question would be, okay, if we take it out, are we effectively taking it out from whence it was in before we
Right,
rolled it into a blanket
Right.
approval? And now are we creating a Scribner's nightmare of going back to what was in the original charter versus what we put into our red line charter?
so good segue. This note that's up on the screen here, I asked Attorney Pierce today 2 questions. I said, what is everyone else doing? Anybody else, what's West Hartford doing? And came through with the account. But the first sentence, the only, if I'm reading this, Attorney Pierce, tell me if I'm wrong. Apparently, the only ones in the charter today that have a first selectman appointment with an RTM is conservation.
No. The only, I wasn't sure what the question was. Currently, the only appointment that is a first selectman appointment is conservation.
Oh, got it.
The rest are either board of selectmen or board of selectmen and RTM.
So
In the current charter, not your draft.
So in the only charter we have, right, everyone that says Board of Selectmen, that's not,
All the boards, we're talking about boards, right? Boards and commissions. The only one that is appointed by the first selectman right now is conservation.
got it. But the rest of them much
Are
to,
a combination of board of selectmen and RTM.
We can go back to the original. and-
If you want to keep it the way it is currently, that's not hard. We can do that.
That's not hard.
but I guess, Commissioner McHenry's point is that the one that says Board of Selectmen and RTM today, do we strip that out of that one?
I'm
Make it
not saying
consistent.
that we want to strip that out.
Yeah, but you're asking the question, should we strip it out? And which
I
ones?
think his question was, is it problematic?
Right, I'm,
It's not.
Well, I don't agree with that, I just want to make sure we're,
you're answering my question. If you want to go back to the original charter,
Yeah, hold on, Commissioner Blanco.
go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish.
We can do that effectively.
If you
It's
want
not
to
going
do
to cause a
that,
problem,
if
so.
that's what you guys want to do, we can, that's not hard from a drafting perspective.
Okay, great, thank you for that. Commissioner Blanco?
Is there a reason that, I don't know if First Selectman Gerber, maybe some of the people that know the history, that some of the commissions had RTM approval and most did not? Was there a reason for that?
No, I mean, I can guess ethics because it's really important and,
Yeah.
but I have no idea why Fair TV.
Yeah.
Fair TV is by ordinance and,
Okay.
the reason that one was to have RTM approval was to make it apolitical. You
I-
have multiple bodies touching it, not just one body.
I tend to,
And that's in the code.
I tend to agree with First Selectman Gerber. The other issue is if they constantly disagree, on a candidate for whatever reason, I know that's only theoretical, who suffers is the board itself. Right?
Yeah. Oh, well,
So again, I go back to what Commissioner
well, no, that's
McHenry
not
said.
true.
Yeah.
Is it not true?
It would defer back to the first, or the appoint,
Who suffers?
oh, who
No, who
suffers?
su-
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said, who. I thought you said who's making the decision.
Mr. Smith gets nominated by First Selectman Gerber. Mr. Smith gets rejected by the RTM for whatever reason,
Yeah.
good, bad, or indifferent. It
Well,
can happen 2, 3, 4 times.
you know, I think I said this early on in the process. I wanted to make sure that whatever we didn't make anything harder, right?
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
And not to interrupt you, Chair, but I like what Commissioner McHenry said. It's empowering the people that you have faith in that have been elected by the town. That's a big responsibility. And the fact that you have really smart people in our town that want to serve, I would say give them the tools requisite for them to be successful.
It is interesting, though, that Fair TV wanted it not to be political, so they have the.
So they added it.
They have the RTM.
I know, it seems-
That's kind of what.
No, because
I
then
think
you've
it
got,
could
the people have to be confirmed by two different bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea is you'll end up with people on the body that are not controversial because both bodies have accepted them.
Right.
Right.
I think that's
And
why
you've got,
that.
I mean, you've got minority representation just in about just every boards and commissions. So like,
For sure.
are they can they politicize the boards? Not really.
I mean, if you take the current environment where the RTM is predominantly Democratic, you could say that every time a Republican goes before the RTM, they're gonna vote that person down because.
I was talking about the BO, I was talking about, yeah.
Oh, but elected boards?
BOS.
Oh,
The BO
elected boards,
Can the
no.
BOS, like, cause the BOS gets one and they're gonna fill, okay, so now it was an R that just termed out. Chances
to
are they
replace
probably
with an R.
have to replace them with an,
Or a U.
or a U, or a
Or
U.
a U, yeah. So let me make a motion, then we can maybe put a bow around this. I make a motion to, I'm gonna say it kind of the way Attorney Pierce said, to return the appointment process for all boards and commissions to the current charter with the exception of the COO, which we added.
Was you talking about, you want to do officers too? Or I thought you were going to say
Boards and-
excluding conservation.
Oh, sure, we can say, I'll say excluding conservation.
It's appointed by the commission and approved.
No, not the director, I thought we were talking about boards and
We're
commissions.
talking about boards and commissions, yeah.
But not.
I didn't say officers, did I?
You said the COO.
Oh, I said excluding the CO, just because we added that, so we don't want to.
We shouldn't talk
You
about.
don't have to talk about officers when you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize, you're right.
So your motion then is to return it to the method of
Boards
appointment,
and
other
com-
than conservation, which will be board of selectmen? Conservation you want to be board of selectmen?
No, what is, I think so, yes.
Yes. Do I have a second
Well, hold on,
for discussion purposes?
currently, it's Fair TV and Conservation are
Fair
the,
TV is in the code, so we're not talking about.
That's by ordinance, so.
The
so
only thing-
Conservation is the only outlier.
No, ethics requires RTM approval, right?
I think
So that would
historic district does.
That stays.
That
stays, right.
Because we're going.
We're saying don't remove any, just don't add the ones we added.
Go through each of them.
No, as long as that's what's being done.
That's what I'm trying to say, whether I'm saying it or.
But my point is, you do want to change conservation still.
I think we could phrase it a little differently to make it.
Please, why don't you do a better
I think
job,
we're
please?
saying that where we added the requirement for RTM approval of appointments to boards and commissions, we are now removing that.
Excellent. I'll second that motion. That's a much better way of saying it. Wherever we add it, please don't add it anymore.
But didn't we change where first select, it was only first selectmen to
Or-
be board?
That's different.
Only for
We're talking
conservation.
about for, and this is from boards and commissions.
Correct. Boards and commissions, where we added a RTM approval.
Right.
We're now taking that RTM approval away, so it returns to the 2006 version.
Turns to the charter, the way the charter is written today. So it's no longer a change, basically.
The first selectman appoints these people, and there's no notes about the Board of Selectmen having to, is that what you thought?
Right, I thought we had changed.
Well, but those are officers. We're talking
Yeah,
about-
this is not boards and commissions.
We had Conservation Commission.
We did change
Conservation.
That's commission.
to Board of Selectmen versus
Right.
full First Selectmen.
Right, so that's.
That
what I'm trying
stays.
to say, so.
That stays.
Can we discuss that one too later?
Yeah.
Of course. We'll discuss anything you'd like.
Well, that will, if the
I got
RTM
that.
one,
Is there any further discussion on the RTM removal? Mr. Blanco, you're good?
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
700, Prue. Maybe we should just go down the RTM list while we're here. From the top. Don't change the 10% population variance.
I think that kind of makes sense, because what we changed it to is almost nothing. It's still gonna be, you know,
I was confused with, Chair, sorry, Commissioner, Wang. I was confused with Ms. Devlin's comments. Maybe it's me.
Understanding the change.
Yeah, I
Well-
think that's right.
Well, so maybe I need a history
Is there
lesson.
distinction?
Yes.
There is?
Yeah.
0.000000.
Because I think currently, yes, currently 10% is okay, but I think we're saying it can't be 10%.
It has to
Which
be
I think-
below, right?
9.99.
Yes. Which I think based on, you asked for us for a legal opinion on that, and I think
Yes.
that we concluded that that's probably the way to go legally, is to
Oh,
have
it's
it not
better.
equal 10%.
Yeah, that's why we did it.
I was gonna say.
Jason said, like, that's the recommended.
Yeah, I just want to go on record.
Jason's opinion.
We didn't, this commission didn't say, I think we should change 10% to less than 10%. This was recommended to us. So there was, someone had a really good reason for recommending it. And again, as I had said, just as for an engineer, when I see 10%, 10% could be 10.4. That's 10% because you only have no significant digits. Now it's not it's 9.999999 to infinity, right?
But in reality, the way these things work is you take a look at it, the year it turns into 13, and then you do something.
Oh,
Correct.
no,
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
no,
on-
or 11.
I mean,
Oh, I was on the redistricting committee, as was Phil, and we really stuck to it, but it could change
Does it?
over time.
I mean, it
redistrict.
changes every day.
Yeah, that's true.
It's based as a census.
They're gonna put in a 300 unit building right down the street from me. It's gonna, boom.
Right.
All right, do we want to take up this topic, this change? Moving on. Don't remove qualified language regarding start of terms. That's from Ms. Griffin.
The word qualified.
Don't remove qualified language regarding start of
This
qualified.
refers to the town
Oh.
clerk recommendations from already removing qualified.
Oh, this is the whole debate we had about, are you qualified and elected?
Elected and qualified.
Do we want to take up this change? Commissioner Blanco, if you want to, just scream out for me. We'll move
We
on.
could determine what qualified meant, so it was.
Well, and again, exactly right. Change vacancy procedures, like we did on the Board of Selectmen. Who's JB?
That's additional comment I got.
Oh, got it.
So no, I don't want to take it up, I just recorded.
Change vacancy, okay. Anyone like to take this up? Why expand to Board of Education the ex officio on RTM? I'm not quite sure I understand what that means.
That was, I think,
There was only the chair
So
could be on.
currently it was just the chair,
Oh,
not all members of the Board of Ed.
Yes, that was my motion, because I don't understand why every member of the Board of Finance is ex officio to the RTM. I don't see why every member of the Board of Education shouldn't be as well, for caucusing reasons, for caucusing reasons. Forget all this other motion and stuff like that, just for pure caucusing reasons. I mean, me personally, I don't want to take this up. Can the RTM hold a regular meeting without a vote scheduled? This came from Ms. Spolier.
Yeah.
I don't know what she's,
I do know what it's.
I don't know what that
it says in
means.
here that they can, let me just get the right.
Wouldn't that be
The
rules
language
to
is right
regulate?
there, I thought.
It says, that if there is no business to be acted upon at a regular meeting,
did say that,
the meeting may be dispensed with upon the direction of the moderator.
And I pointed out the word may.
Yeah.
Hey.
so that's how the RTM sometimes will cancel a meeting if there's nothing that has to be done that month.
Right.
But
So
they
like-
could still have the
They
meeting.
can still have the meeting.
Yeah.
So August historically has been a meeting that they've dispensed with because
Nothing's going on.
do we really have to vote this month on, the Historic District Commission appointment? Can we vote in
Yeah.
September? So they don't have to meet in August.
I think she was wondering, can we still have a meeting if we want to talk about something that's not a vote?
That's, I don't think they're precluded.
Yeah.
They're not preclude, so the official, the opinion is they're not precluded from doing this today, so we won't take this up, yes?
Correct.
Define RTM meetings that aren't regular or special, like joint committee presentations. This would then ensure the town clerk would attend the currently undefined meetings. So if I remember Ms. Spolier's comments, she said, I want the town clerk to come to every meeting. And we talked about that and said, well, we might have to pay Betsy a lot more to go to, to go all these meetings. And I didn't know if it was even practical. I mean, we did discuss it here, yeah?
I think that, and I think you were consulted about this, I think we're thinking that there should be minutes for the committee meetings that we've been
Joint
having.
committee presentation.
Which I would agree
Has not
with.
happened in like 20 years. And we're changing it too. We're doing the rules to regulate right now. We're changing them. And we're going to get rid of most of the committees. And there won't be committee meetings. It'll just be informational presentations. So
Okay.
she's wondering, I agree with her totally. That should be a proper meeting. It is noticed, I guess, but where there's minutes are taken. And it's never really been defined in here, that
Right.
in-between meeting.
So is it defined in the charter today that if there is an RTM meeting, the town clerk has to be there? Because she's the clerk of the RTM, yes? So when you have an undefined meeting, you have a budget committee meeting, well, it's not a defined meeting, so I don't have to be there.
Right. Oh, yeah, budget too.
I think it's really a rules to regulate issue. Because the issue is that the rules to regulate have not been revised since this practice began of having joint committee presentations.
Oh, got it.
Before that, all of these were separate committees that met separately.
Right.
And the town clerk would not attend committee meetings and
Right.
still does not attend any committee meetings.
Right.
So do you think we don't need to talk about that formerly committee meeting in the charter? If you think that's true, I'm okay with
I
that.
really see it as a rules, the RTM has to decide how it wants to run its meetings. I mean, I think it's a rules to regulate issue.
It does feel that way to me too, now the way you've explained it, but.
Because that's how with the current practice, and you've got your rules to regulate to define how your meetings are conducted. And then the RTM has adopted this current practice that created these joint committee presentations for the last 15 years or however long it's been.
I'm not sure then that the town clerk section saying that she's the clerk of a meeting, is it a meeting? Like, that's, really, we want this to be called.
So you want to define what a meeting is, really, that's what it
It's
is.
a meeting. So can we say regular and informational meetings?
But how are you defining those in the rules to regulate? So that's why I think it really,
Well, what happens if we do that in the rules to regulate, and then we need Betsy to take minutes at that that committee meeting?
why wouldn't you just treat those as regular meetings in your rules to
Would
regulate?
that fit here as a regular meeting, if held at least once a month, if that?
So I was just saying,
if that's true, that's
the words
fine with me.
regular and special are Robert's rules words, right? So we can't, I don't think we can deviate from them too much, right?
Yeah, so regular, is it a regular meeting if it's
I mean, they're
this-
gonna be regular meetings because you're gonna establish the meeting
schedule.
schedule.
so that
And you
won't-
do that already, you just call them joint committee meetings on your
Right.
annual meeting schedule. So it just says RTM meetings shall be held at least once a month on a regular meeting date decided upon by the RTM members.
You think that would cover the community meetings?
I would just like to get an understanding or clarification. Karen, are we suggesting that we're gonna change the charter to expand the definition of meetings? That would then require the town clerk to attend the meetings and act as the clerk of the meetings? And that we're doing that now at our last meeting without much notice to the town clerk to comment on it?
Well, she's a member of the Rules to Regulate Committee, so she's not 100% happy, but she knows we're planning to do this. And I think it was recently decided that we should be complying with FOIA and have minutes of the committee meetings that should have been happening for quite a while. So it needs to be treated as a meeting for FOIA purposes with minutes and everything.
But my question would be, does Betsy know that the process that the RTM is going through, that she's not happy with,
Yeah.
is on the table for the charter to make it gospel, and that her unhappiness no longer has a battle? If
Well, she would battle with us, I hope, because she's on our committee.
But you can't, it's in the charter.
if we put it in the charter.
If you put it in the charter,
She's
it would
toast.
supersede,
Yeah.
supersede your rules to regulate.
She lost.
Right.
She
Well,
lost.
She got
I
backdoored.
mean, the
But I'm
town can just
confused.
pay someone extra to take minutes. Well,
But if it's scheduled as a regular meeting, and the charter already says the town clerk shall take the minutes, however the language is written, for regular meetings, like it's,
because it hasn't been for 20 years or whatever, it hasn't been treated as a regular meeting for purposes of her being there and taking attendance and taking minutes. So I want to either change it or have some legal.
Well, I mean, what's,
decision
is the issue that you need the town clerk there, or is the issue that you want somebody to prepare minutes for the meeting?
that minutes
seems to be
and
the minutes.
attendance, and the moderator won't do it. We don't.
Well, the moderator shouldn't do it,
Right.
but I mean, I don't see why, I mean, the town can provide a recording secretary for those meetings if that's what's needed. Separately, I don't think you need to change the definition of meeting. The thing is, if you wanted to call them informational meetings, under FOIA, there are only regular meetings and special meetings.
Right,
Okay.
So
exactly.
you're still gonna have to notice it as a regular meeting,
Okay,
if you're doing it as a regular meeting.
okay,
Currently, it is on the regular meeting schedule, but it's characterized as a committee meeting.
right. Okay, then I'll leave that as is, and
Right.
if we can
So-
get other people to take the minutes, that doesn't have to be the
No,
clerk.
you cannot. This is not question and answer, sorry.
We didn't have that problem when I was on, because I just want to tell you, we had a chairman, vice chairman, and a secretary for each committee. We met separately, which is different than.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that's
You still do,
that's
but-
the change. The change is that there's a joint meeting and then there are those separate meetings. There are minutes for the separate meetings. That's not the issue. That's not the issue Karen's raising.
Yeah.
Karen's raising a different issue.
Okay, sorry, thank you, I know that was a really long conversation.
No, that's exactly what we're here for.
Yeah.
So are we agreed we're not gonna take this up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Just want to remind you that Betsy was my babysitter, so
I love
you
Betsy.
didn't have that
And
backdoor.
Ki-
You never repeat yourself?
And when we talked about this first time, she's like, don't make me go to more meetings, we'll have more money.
No, we just need someone there to take minutes.
Clarify Article 4 petitioners. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, so at the end of that same section, 4.3D, it talks about what can be on the agenda for the RTM, and it says, or RTM members, electors or RTM members petition.
I would just say on this one, this is a new topic, this
Yes,
particular one.
yes.
The recording minutes was not a new topic, that's something we actually did discuss previously as a commission. I would argue new topics, like this is not the time to raise new topics unless it's like a real problem.
Article 4, is that what she means by is Article 4D?
4.3D.
4.3D, which is the notice.
The very end, the very end of the paragraph.
Or, which may be, sorry.
Or RTM members petition.
Or electors petition. And above, in another section, it talks about electors, at least 1%.
Yeah, I mean, this is just, I actually think it is clear
Okay.
because it says, a written petition for a meeting signed by 1% of the electors of the town or upon written petition signed by 10 RTM members.
Oh, that's
I
in the
think that-
previous one.
I think that that's what it's referring to.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So it's referring to the process by which a special meeting of the RTM can be triggered. And it's clear that it's by RTM members. So then you look at who is the class of RTM members, and there's the people that can sign the petition.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we're not taking this topic up? Move organizational meeting. Now, I thought we already moved the organizational meeting by the town clerk's comments to make sure of that. So
Yeah, I
we think we're covered with that? Okay, so we're not gonna take that up either. Okay.
To be clear, I don't think we moved the organizational.
We didn't, no, we
We
clarified,
addressed, I
we
think-
addressed the input, not the output.
Raising the- Yeah, raising that same issue, but we
Right.
approached it the way Betsy asked.
Right.
Agreed.
It was an input change, not an output
Yeah,
change.
I'm not-
The
I
third,
don't
the
like
third
that.
meeting of the month stayed the same. It was just when you could start the process to get to there, right? Okay.
I don't think it up either. So.
Okay. So why don't we get to, let's go right to the top, boards and commissions. Commissioner Brennan, revise the fire commission staffing assessment language. I was a little confused by this one, I must say.
So this is the one where, based on their recommendation and our discussion, we removed part of the charter that talked about how they would do a staffing assessment annually. We come back with kind of revised language where the chief would be providing an assessment to the commission that the commission would evaluate and provide to the board of selectmen.
I'm just looking for that section, sorry. That's fire commission, under fire commission? Fire 10.6, okay. Okay, here we go. So, this isn't helping me, I gotta tell you. Revised fire staffing assessment language.
So we removed
She's
what
missing
was
some.
existing 10B5.
No,
yeah.
10B.
10.5B?
There's no, I
Yeah,
know.
we did.
she- There's
right
no,
here.
Within the limits of appropriations, yeah, but we removed that. So she's come back and said, hey, actually, we believe that should, instead of just remove, we should be replaced with something.
So I clearly remember having this conversation.
Yeah, we
And
had
I
it.
said, tell me what you do and what you don't do.
We
We
don't
don't
do
do
that.
4, we don't do 5.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Right. Exactly,
So is she recommending that there's new language she'd like to insert?
yes. Which she had in her comments. As part of the budget preparation, the fire chief shall provide to the fire commission annual updates on existing staff levels, including number of persons employed and authorized by grade and rank and recommended changes. The fire commission will advise the first selectman on whether the number of persons employed by the department and the several ranks and grades and their compensation are sufficient for the needs of the town.
That seems like it should be an internal, like a rules to regulate.
It took me about 2 words to get to that same conclusion. I don't see her, why don't I see Commissioner Brennan's comments now?
It was May 6th. So it's-
Oh, because I'm in November of 2024, that's why.
that's why. Yeah, 10 It's 1060, it's not 10B.
Right.
She made two comments. One was around.
This was
we
around
already
the
discussed
timing,
that.
yep, we
For the-
have.
That's different.
There's a different.
So there's a separate, wholly different comment from
Right before
her.
that. It's just the one
Um,
before that.
That's the one I saw here. I didn't see the other one.
Did I screw this? Let me just make sure I'm not. I only have one.
That's the one I saw, and I didn't see another one.
I think it loaded, I guess.
Oh,
There-
there are 2 emails.
There are two.
In the emails,
and-
I think it loaded, I guess, in her emails.
It came in,
Now, to be fair to Jen, I went back through last night and kind of noticed this one I hadn't forwarded to her, so I forwarded her last night. So
It's in her email.
she was posting it. So she probably hasn't gotten to posting it yet. That's my, in fact, that was a couple of days late. I'm sending that to her.
Trying to find- I mean, my-
But it says,
Okay, let me keep looking.
Oh,
they want us to put in the charter that the chief has to talk to the fire commission. No.
Yeah.
651 and 652, like she just
I mean,
pounded.
if she thinks that.
Different problem.
You could revert the deletion if you think that she wants.
I don't want to revert the deletion. Me personally, I mean,
You want something
again, we
different.
said we specifically asked, do you do this today? And they said no. So are we taking this up? Anyone else want to take this up? Nothing heard. Commissioner Blanco, no?
Nope.
Is it something that has to be in the charter? Isn't it something like it's a rules to regulate, you were saying, so you could just?
Well, it would be under, I would think, kind of standard work under the fire commission.
Yeah.
but They have processes internal to the fire commission. I would think it would be
You
there.
decide what they do. Not a charter thing.
Okay, add reference to the other Bs and Cs, boards and commissions in the town code to address why some boards and commissions are in the charter and others aren't. No, thank you. Ed, we've discussed this. I discussed it at the public session. Yeah, I think,
I know.
I don't, I'm sorry.
I don't think she was saying, she was just saying, note there are other boards and commissions that
That's right.
are explained.
She wants to put somewhere in this document that, by the way, you're reading through the charter, having a nice day, and you're like, I wonder if there's any other, oh, wait a minute, you gotta go to the town code to see the rest of them. I don't know why we would point to another document, frankly. Well, we do it with state statutes, so.
All the time.
I mean, do we, well, we put it out there, does anyone wanna take this up and adding a reference point to the charter that points to the code?
Well, I don't think this body all was clear the difference between code and charter to begin with, so I think it doesn't hurt to just let people know there's two documents that are important for how we manage our town.
Well, I mean, the thing is, there are other documents, like
Yeah, there's
certain
lots of-
boards have promulgate regulations. I mean,
Bylaws
you're gonna-
or
right,
Yeah,
certain boards-
exactly.
to regulate
I-
or.
The town code exists, I mean,
Maybe
if
something.
people are looking
on
for the
town
charter, they're
website.
gonna find it in the town code.
Isn't it true that if you look up if you go on the website and you see town code, the first thing it says on there is the charter? Isn't the charter
Yeah.
technically part of the town
It's not part
code?
of, it's organized through the same system.
Oh, okay.
But you're right, it's the first thing on the list.
Right.
You
But
would,
but not within the charter, so how about on the town website,
I like that.
we let people know, like,
Yeah, we've been
Check
talking
out.
about how to
Oh, yeah.
make that stuff more accessible.
you know.
So
think
when
that's
you
a good
click
idea.
on boards and commissions on the town website,
Yeah.
doesn't it include even the ones?
So if you
that-
go to a particular board, it'll link to the organizational basis for it. It'll either link to the charter or it links to the town code on it already. That's already there, which is great.
But I think you're saying that, hey, like some kind of intro language on the website saying, hey, boards and commissions are in the charter and the code and.
And they're equally valid and important, it doesn't matter which one you're in, they're both
I
equal.
nominate Eric to clean it up.
I second that motion.
You're never leaving this.
Write that down, Bill Gerber, next commission for Eric Cheshire. Are we taking this up? Okay.
Not in our charter.
Fix the errors in the number of alternates for flood and erosion.
Yeah, I think that's
That sounds
If you do
important.
that in your
Between-
rewrite.
Sounds important.
Well, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's an error. So I think the comment was that we don't list them as alternates, but the alternates for that board are different than other ones. They're optional alternates. They're not standing alternates. So,
Yeah, there's a whole nother section, this is called alternates,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
so I think the comment was in when we provide the summary.
That's the comment. And then it goes in a different.
Oh, this is a
topic.
different.
It's 7 members and 3 alternates.
Okay, I didn't.
But there's a specific section under B that says, here are the alternate members, and those members are 3-year terms, stagger, so that not more than one term expires in any 1 year, blah, 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 blah.
I thought she said.
Is this a confirmed by majority vote of RTM that comes out?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is one of the removals, yes.
So, but she's talking on page 3. She's on page 3 where we had the list of members. So like page 3, like way at the beginning of the document. Okay.
Is this page 3 of your overview?
It just says requires RTM approval and it's 5 members. She's saying it's 7 members.
It is 7 members. It used to be 5.
All right, that change, okay, I did not make that before, I didn't understand. the change.
Does that have
you're
to follow
It's
later?
correct in.
So are you saying that this is incorrect, that
In the body,
Yeah,
but not in the summary.
right.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
7
in
is
the
correct.
summary.
On page 3 in the summary, that's what she's
So
talking
this
about.
is your fault.
No, the summary is in the charter, like on page 3 of the charter.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's not, it's
I
not.
thought you meant the summary document.
No, up in the, like, page 3 on this thing here on the screen.
Still haven't caught him, Chris.
I'm trying hard, Karen, it's tough.
So somewhere in there, in the FERB, where it talks about that, it says 5, it should said 7.
But we took all those out.
No. So where flood's highlighted,
Yeah.
on the left of that, it says 5. That's supposed to be a 7. No,
Is this the,
number.
got it.
So Ms. Bennell found an error, it's
So this should be 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so I make a motion
That is good.
that we amend, I'm just gonna say
I think you need to
page,
make a motion on that.
well, we do not,
Typo, right?
we're officially changing it, so let's just, on page 4, the members of the Flood Prevention, Climate Resilience, and Erosion Control Board be amended from 5 members to 7 members. Is there a second? Commissioner McCann, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you for that, I would have never gotten there. Do not expand approvals to require RTM approval, is that, this is what we, yep. Conservation Commission required to be appointed by the first selectman. So, did we change it to Board of Selectmen?
Right, her comment was she believes by, I guess, general statute, that it is required to be the first selectman. So that's where I was gonna ask.
Yeah, so we gave you the opinion on this, so that's the
Yeah, we
default
did.
rule, that's the statute. But under
Home
home
rule.
rule, you don't have to follow that, you can make it Board of Selectmen. if you wish.
Okay, so we will not take this up? Okay.
Wait, but did we change that one to US?
Yeah,
Board
yeah.
of Selectmen.
We did. Because it was the only one
The only one.
that was first selectman.
The only board or commission that the first.
Okay.
You said you wanted to take that up again, right?
Okay, well, just because I thought Chris's motion was that we're gonna revert back to,
No.
okay.
We kept that.
Keep it Board of Selectmen. Keep it.
Then we don't need to take it up again.
Right.
Correct.
I could show you where it is if I could find the stupid thing. No, it's under-
No, move it.
It's all right, it's all right.
Sure? Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
that's what we're doing.
Got it. Do expand approvals to require, done, yep. Revise or exclude the Board of Selectmen compensation process. We were specifically asked to add the process, we haven't had a process memorialized, it really should have been memorialized 20 years ago when we did this the last time. So, does anyone want to take this up? Thank you very much. Ensure the ability to petition for special election is retained in the vacancy process.
Vacancy.
There was a
don't
concern
know.
that, this is around the Board of Selectmen vacancy piece, where it's, like you said, the 18 months, if they leave within 18 months, then there's, how that works. Because they have to serve on the municipal, and her concern was, are we limiting the ability to petition, I think,
Under the
for,
Connecticut statutes.
yeah, for a special election. So to me, it was a legal opinion. If
I
we-
don't think that we actually have a, Supreme Court case now on this issue and when that provision applies, so I think we have clarity on it. This doesn't change that, this just changes the timeline for the length of the term.
Right, exactly. Okay, so we're not taking that up. Change position qualifications to be approved by Board of Selectmen, not First Selectmen, ensure checks and balances on this process.
So this refers to the fact that we've pointed town officials back to job qualifications.
Oh, yes.
Which are to be approved by, or developed by the Director of HR and approved by the First Selectman. The request is to have essentially job descriptions, job qualifications approved by the Board
Board
of
of
Selectmen
Selectmen.
instead of just the First Selectman. That's the.
That's section 9.1, I think. Oh, maybe it's just so.
You had that one memorized, like the
Well,
You know it well.
qualifications.
9.1B, that's, yeah. Except to the extent that a town officer is not a town, the qualifications shall be prepared by the Director of Human Resources and approved by the first selectman. Do we want to take this up to change to Board of Selectmen?
I'd like to talk about it. I think it's a fair
Sure.
question. It seemed reasonable. I mean, I guess the question, does it like add a lot of bureaucracy or paperwork, I guess, or the risk?
I'll give my 2 cents and then I'll ask the first selectman. I don't think this is a bad idea either, given the fact that it wasn't very many years ago where we didn't have any job descriptions, right? And again, if we want to talk about having a apolitical process, the Board of Selectmen voting on it would make it an apolitical process, wouldn't it? Apolitical meaning not political, right? I'm an engineer, oh, sorry. Don't forget.
Well, it also gets to the whole point on, like we talked about DPW, whether they're PE or not, which is.
Yeah.
That's going to be determined by this section. And it makes that a little more public, that kind of discussion where it's like, hey, the board has to then decide, like, what are the key qualifications for important roles, which in theory, they have to do it like once every 4 years for each job.
So for the first selectman, so if you were approving these, you could just do them in your office, but if it's a Board of Selectmen, you have to have an official meeting to go through each one, is that correct?
Yeah, so which positions?
This is also, in the 2022 revision, there was this same language was added, which basically says, rather than saying in the document that, town clerk has to have this specification, we point back to, not town clerk's a bad example, Department of Public Works. Instead of saying you have to have a PE, we point back to this language that says, if you want to go hire a new a Director of Public Works, you got to go to the HR director's office because there's a qualification list on record. And each one of those job qualifications, the way it's written right now, has to be approved by the first selectman. And the question is, this person would like it approved by the Board of Selectmen.
He's the chief executive.
I think having the board of selectmen manage the human resources department to create job descriptions is gonna
It's a slippery
really
slope.
slow things down.
Well, it's a slippery slope on top of it all, yeah.
And also, right now, human resources hires employees like any business, and
Yeah.
taking it out of the human resources department and giving it to the board of selectmen. I don't
How many
think it
towns?
makes it less political, and I mean, I'm not sure that any town does that.
How many towns actually even send it to the first select?
I'm making that up. I'm just
Even
trying to
that is
rationalize why
probably
this person would think that's a good idea.
Well, the funny thing is, I think I know where this is coming from, like, where if someone is hired because they're a friend of a friend or a friend, and they don't have the requisite qualifications, I mean, it's happened before, but.
Yeah, but what this says is,
This is a bit much, so.
How could the
what
first
this
selectman
says here is,
doctor the qualifications so that it would get the person that he's looking, I mean, that's far-fetched.
what this says is, so for every role, not every role, but the majority of the roles in town, there's a job description there or qualification that says, I'm gonna go hire this, a new person to fill this role, and there are qualifications. And who signs off on that piece of paper? Right now, we're saying the first selectman, this person's asking, should it be the Board of Selectmen?
This is only, again,
HR.
this is for the
just
town
for-
officer
Yeah.
position.
Town officers, sorry, yeah.
Not
This is
officer.
just for the job description of qualifications. It's not for the person.
Has nothing to do with the actual person, it has to do with the piece of paper that's sitting in a filing cabinet somewhere, right?
And they have a standard by which they have to create the job description.
Correct.
So, yeah.
I mean, I would worry, are the Board of Selectmen qualified to do that?
First
I
select.
don't know if the first selectman's qualified.
No, but the human resources is.
But it's for.
No, yeah.
It's prepared by human resources.
Do we want to take this up?
It's approval.
Okay, we're
We've
not
had enough
going to
discussion.
take this up, okay. Good. Shift all, if possible, approvals from first selectman only to Board of Selectmen. I think we've discussed that this evening. So I don't want to keep making the statement. Do we want to take this up?
No.
Okay. Budget process. Revisit the 2022 recommended changes. I, it was the combined, the Board of Selectmen with the Board of, yeah.
Not more like a rules to regulate than it
No.
is.
No, it was-
That is definitely not a rules to regulate, yeah.
And he had a fair point, which we discussed, that it's hard on the staff to go to all the meetings, but we
Yeah,
talked
that's fair.
about that.
Are we taking this up? Thank you very much. Next, review the 10-year review requirement. Sorry, thank you. No, we added it. So I don't think we're taking up the removal of that. I think that's a really good addition, being perfectly honest with you. COO, I think we've done all of those. Delegation, remove need for changes in 6.2A7. I'll go to 6.2A7.
So, Ms. Griffin just, like yesterday, I think it was, sent in a more description, oh. what was it?
So this is under the first select person. And Ms. Griffin had an issue with us, so the charter today says, the first selectman shall have the ability to delegate such authority as may be necessary to to the selectman. That's it. Oh, no, or to administrative assistants whose appointment may be authorized by the RTM. We changed all of that, and we said that the first selectman may have the ability to delegate such authority as may be necessary to appropriate town officials.
So the point that Ms. Griffin raised that I just asked Bill to clarify, by taking out administrative assistants, are we limiting the ability to delegate to only town officials? Because an administrative assistant is not a town official. But I think that's a fair question, which is legal opinion.
So, I mean, it says appropriate town administrative assistants whose appointment may be authorized by the RTM. I don't think that's ever happened.
Well, that's gone, though.
No, but it's never
Well,
happened.
but it's-
The RTM has authorized the appointment of administrative assistants.
This is
I
the
don't think,
first
I don't think you're
selectman.
losing anything because that power, I don't think has ever happened.
But I mean,
So do
but
we
what
wanna
about
expand?
we're talking just about adding administrative assistants or staff.
I would say town officials or administrative
Or
assistants.
town
Right.
employees.
But these town officials, is that like limited to certain
That's limited.
small group of people, right?
Senior staff.
Yes.
So are we limiting that?
What would we,
Yeah.
what authority would the first selectman delegate an administrative assistant to?
I didn't interpret that to mean it's like an actual like secretary. I mean, I interpreted that to mean some other position, but that position's never existed because the RTM has never, as far as I know, authorized it. So.
Now, we do clarify here, we do clarify, where is it? There was a point where we said, oh, yeah, so we added this. I think yes, this is a
That's a
complete
fair
add.
point. You're right. That probably
We
does.
said, hey,
Yeah,
the
staff.
first selectman can hire a chief of staff and administrative assistants, all can be appointed and shall serve at the pleasure of the first select person.
My question's answered.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of covers it, right?
Remember the discussion about the delegation. This is not saying like, do this issue and report to me on it. This is like a delegation of authority where the person can, act. So I don't know that you even would want
Fair.
somebody
We
who.
want to keep it.
So you mean delegation like, hey, if a check comes in here under $10,000, you can sign it for me? That kind of a thing.
That kind of a delegation, right.
Yeah, no, I'm good, thank you.
So if we have that at all in here, even to town officials, should it be authorized by the RTM or? It wasn't clear to us what that meant, I don't think.
The RTM
It's
thing.
why the, yeah.
What are we delegating?
I have this one flagged.
So this isn't so in the current charter today, Bill,
Yeah.
it says, sorry, I've lost it.
Or 6.2,
6.2, sorry. I'm under the Board of Selectmen.
6.2A7.
So
I mean,
today it says that the charter says you have the ability to delegate such authority as may be necessary to the selectmen or to administrative assistants whose appointment may be authorized by the RTM. We've stricken that language and just said, you're more than willing, you're more than able to give a delegation authority to town officials.
An example would be a prior administration, there was a delegation of authority to somebody to sign contracts.
Ugh,
That would be
yes,
right? And this is, and it's allowed under the charter under a different provision, but the first, basically saying, rather than the first select person signing, this person can sign as first select person, like as an example.
yeah, right.
Well, these are all the authorities, right? I mean, we're in that section.
Right.
Yes, the-
Delegate the faithful execution of all laws and ordinances.
Yeah.
Or be the town agent and chief executive.
are we taking, does anyone want to take this up?
My question's answered, so no.
We have a question.
Ms. Jacobson?
Town official includes elected people, correct? Per the definition in the
Town
charter.
official.
It wasn't clear if that was supposed to say town officers versus town officials.
No,
because
it's supposed to say
other
town
boards-
official.
Because other boards
Town
have.
official means any town officer or any member of an authority, board, or commission.
Right, so right now it's contained within, so let's say the first select person is chair of the board of
I
selectmen,
think
so
you, I
that
think
makes
you guys
sense.
meant to do officer,
Officers,
not
that's what
not
I would-
official. I think you guys
Because
meant-
now you're reaching into other boards who might have a different chair and have their own bylaws and.
I would think.
Okay, so a town officer is, it means an individual elected or appointed to a town office rather than as a member of an authority, board, or commission.
Because you don't want to give authority to.
Okay.
That was just my question, was it supposed to
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah, no, it's a-
officer
it's a good
or-
question.
Because one's
The
elected,
golf
one's
commission.
not.
So we're going to, we're going to amend this to say,
It's just a question.
it's a good question, thank you for bringing that up.
Very good point.
Seven, right there.
Right. So I'll make a motion that we change paragraph 6.2, A7, which now reads, have the ability to delegate such authority as may be necessary to appropriate town officials, change that to town officers.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Treshik. Thank you, Ms. Jacobson. Good point. Any further discussion? All in favor? 700 approved. DPW. Have the DPW deputy, is there one? Oversee town engineering, keep the PE with the DPW director. Do we want to take this up? Thank you very much. Ethics.
We kind of discussed that at the public hearing.
Yep.
We kind of discussed it, yes, a lot. Yes, but we did, you're right, we did discuss it at the public meeting.
Kind of beat it to death.
This is under the topic of ethics. Strengthen further like the corporate world. I don't know what Ms.
That was a general
Devlin
comment at the.
meant, right? I mean,
Oh, the ethics code?
well,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's changing.
And that's been done for the employees recently, and then it's gonna be done for the elected and appointed people.
So this is under the ethics code, is that correct? That the RTM is currently working on?
Yeah, yeah, and then the town has a policy, a very strong policy now about ethics for
Right.
employees.
But this is, I guess my point, this is outside of, it's referenced in the charter, but it's outside of this document.
Yes, it doesn't have to be, but that's what we're doing.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Does anyone want to take this up?
The only thing that I will say about this, I think I brought it up at the last meeting, is like, the need to know basis seems a little wishy-washy, but I don't know if we want it
Well, that's,
on a need to know basis.
I mean, it gets
It's not
them-
really like defined.
Yeah,
Right, that was another comment she made to ensure.
Yeah, I was gonna
that-
say.
that Saying that did not water down or reduce the confidentiality.
Right, so we say right now that
it has to be.
it has to be need to know.
Yeah.
Hold on, I just had it. Under Ethics Commission, on complaints, in any investigation to determine probable cause, the Ethics Commission shall keep all information confidential and share on a need-to-know, only on a need-to-know basis.
Who is that, though? I mean, like, can it just say, like, the commission and the people that it, investigators or
Attorneys?
attorneys involved in the matter or something, or is that?
What
you
if
think that's
the
okay,
Ethics
Bill?
Commission needs to talk to witnesses?
I think that's where
I think
that's where that comes from.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You're gonna have an investigating authority, so under a need to know, if I'm gonna engage a witness or somebody to inquire about what occurred, I have to give them fair understanding of what it is I'm gonna be looking into.
You can't just call somebody in because they're your buddy that make the ruling. You have to call someone in that has knowledge of the situation and a need to know, right?
Her comment was a good one, though. I think she said it brings a level of ambiguity in what you're bringing in. But also then, she said, well, if we're gonna do that, then just restore the consistent with the requirements of state law. I think that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, no, and I agree with Jerry. I just think like, but if it was like a board of, if it was like a selectman that just approached and said like, I really need to know, people are asking me about this, I have constituent, I need to know. You know, it's, I don't think that's the definition there, the intended definition. I think it's
Yeah.
need to know for a determination of the matter.
I mean, it's ambiguous language, but I mean, again, it's left to the person who's filling the role on the Ethics Commission to stick to what they should be doing.
So does the requirement of state law make need to know less ambiguous?
Is there a state law about it?
Oh,
I mean, I don't think it does. The state law is the state law, right?
okay. Well, then never mind. Sounds good, but I guess if it doesn't actually mean anything.
Okay, we're not taking up that. Don't refer to the ethics ordinance. I can't imagine why we wouldn't refer to the document that we're spending a lot of time in this town. So are we taking this up?
We don't do that in here, do we?
So
I think we do reference the ordinance.
So the one change that is made is that rather than call it a code of, the document, the current charter talks about an ethics ordinance and then defines it as the code of ethics.
Ah.
So that's confusing because there's no document that's called that, and even the ethics ordinance that you're working on is not going to be called a code of ethics. So one change is to call that the ethics ordinance so that it's clear.
Okay.
So I don't know if the comment is in that vein. And then separately, the commission asked for language to allow the RTM to enact an ordinance that'll supersede section 11, article 11, with, different like more stringent standards of conduct, right? So there's that section. Those are the places that the ordinance is mentioned. I don't know which comment that related to.
She says, don't refer to the ethics ordinance. I guess maybe I would ask that where we do refer to that external document, that we call it the thing that the RTM is going to call it.
Yeah, well, you have, the thing is, you have to refer to it because you have to empower.
Absolutely.
And you have to empower the Ethics Commission to investigate violations of the ordinance.
Right.
If you remove it, then they can't investigate violations of the ordinance. They can only
Right.
investigate violations of standards of conduct.
So do you believe our current document calls it what it should be called when it's going to be in its final form?
Yeah, I don't think I understand what the comment is because.
No, I'm not referring to her comment anymore. I'm referring to your words, which said, we don't call out a thing, we don't have a thing in the current charter that says ethics ordinance.
No, we don't have something called Code of Ethics.
Oh, code of ethics.
That's what
Okay,
it was
great.
called before, in the charter. But
Okay. But today, that all the changes we've made, we are now calling it what it's going to be called when the RTM is all done with it, right?
Well, there is currently an ordinance called ethics. It just doesn't really say anything.
Okay. But okay. Is that what she means?
Because it's left to need
But we
to
don't
know.
point to it.
That's what,
Yeah, you did. You just,
10.14.
You mentioned the first
Her
thing.
point is that because the RTM hasn't passed it yet, you really shouldn't refer to it. But
Oh.
no.
But if you take it out,
agree,
then
right.
the Ethics Commission cannot enforce it.
We've discussed this. We know it's not done yet, and we know that it's going to be done soon. And listen, even if it doesn't get done, what harm is it going to do to reference it if you're referencing nothing?
And I
Right?
think within this, there's a concern that we are telling the RTM the content of the code of ethics that they will pass, which we're not.
Right.
Right.
We're saying the RTM has the right to pass it, and when they do, that's what the Ethics Commission has to enforce.
Got it. Okay.
So
So are we taking this up?
no.
No.
Okay. Remove town officers in the ethics section.
Here, this is the one, though, but I think it's maybe relatively tactical as far as like, I don't think you need town officers because because all town officers are town officials. So it's kind of getting back to that
Oh.
language, like whether or not
So
we're.
town official is more encompassing than town officers, much to your point on the other.
I would recommend that Phil look at it, and if he says we should change it, then.
I'm with you.
I don't know that I want to make that change right now.
Well, it's just being redundant, because if they're already town officials and you say and town officers, they're already, it doesn't matter, it's just extra, it doesn't do anything.
It's not wrong.
Yeah, it's just redundant. It doesn't hurt to have it, it doesn't do anything.
Change unanimous BOS approval.
Oh, gosh, please.
Oh, is that for ethics? No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
I would just.
Leave it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your favorite topic.
Okay, we're not taking this up?
I wouldn't be here if that hadn't been.
Okay.
You could still do this.
Don't change the unanimous Board of Selectmen approval requirement for Ethics Commission.
Oh, listen,
Are we taking this up?
The McHenry. Yeah, that's right.
We're not taking this up, thank you.
I abstain.
Add a table of contents and an index, yes, Ms. Ewing, we absolutely have to do that, and I like that to be done before I hand it to the Board of Selectmen.
So question, does that have to be in the document we vote on tonight?
I don't necessarily, well, I don't think so, I mean,
No, it doesn't have to be in the document.
Because
Okay,
that's
good.
not substantive change, that's just.
include a recommendation for a town org chart. I'm recommending a town org chart to the Board of Selectmen, to the first selectman, external to the document.
Right, my understanding before was that you were gonna add it to the charter. and you
No,
said
we
no.
decided.
No, we were never gonna add it to, because that's just way
So I
too
misunderstood.
flexible or too, way too.
Can I change
Not
Not only do we ask for it, but that it gets posted on the website.
Mm-hmm.
When we get it, when it's produced. That's all.
The
When you-
org chart?
When you ask for it, yeah.
It's been like buried
Okay.
in the budget book.
So we're not taking that up. The summary is great. Keep stroking the Erica here. Provided ways to make it better. That's, she made some
Yeah.
comments about, I think,
It's
so,
not related to the
we're not
charter.
gonna take that up, but it was, she did make some good comments there, right? Okay. Consider the significant structural changes that Mr. Brown previously submitted. So Mr. Brown has once again recommended that we change the form of government. I think we should take that up for we got a couple hours. Sorry. Would anyone like to take this topic up?
City council, let's do it.
All in favor? We talked about it.
Reorganize the charter like 2022. Would anyone like to take this up?
Another kind of, I did some networking and visited different people. They didn't officially provide comments, so.
This is a good one. Change chairman to chairperson.
Yes, I fixed
I
that.
thought that was in
That was a
there.
good change.
That's a good one.
A good one.
Do we
Thank
need
you,
to
Ms.
vote on that?
I thought we did that.
It's in the current version, but
Well, but that was changed
Yeah,
after
okay.
5-1.
So I make a motion to change all references to chairman to chairperson in the charter revision. Seconded by Commissioner Hope. Any further discussion?
Just one question, were there any reasons to keep any? Because there were a couple, like
We're
the
not
first
cha-
selectmen, where we did want to keep like one or two.
There was one, yeah.
Because we
Not
were,
for chair.
we wanted to
Okay.
change it back. We wanted it to be able to reference back to a code or something like that.
There's no reason like that for the chairs. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Chair is even easier.
All in favor?
I was gonna say, we could change.
Aye.
700 approved. Thank you. Process to prevent spiraling legal costs, process budget for RTM to engage counsel. So this was, I know Ms. Spolier hit on this, and there were some other comments. I know Ms. Spolier was concerned that, well, first off, I think everyone liked the fact that we added the fact that RTM should have legal representation when they need it. I know, I should say moderator Spolier, sorry, said, well, how do we do that? Do I get to say it? Do we have to take a vote? It was more of a process thing. My personal opinion is that's more of a rules to regulate thing than a charter thing. Because I think, I don't know if I want to memorialize it in the
How
charter.
they hire?
Let them figure it
I mean, they they would.
How they hire, right?
They could follow what process they want to establish to determine how they select council. I
Mr.
mean,
Yeah, Mr. Gerber?
I would just ask, since there's budget implications, if you have a contentious RTM
Right.
and there's one party that always wants to continue to hire, how would you hire their own counsel? How would you rein that in? If it's in,
They have to go before the Board of Finance to get the funds. Unless the town attorney says, I have budget to do that.
is there a limitation?
Well, I don't, I mean, that would be, the town, the budget doesn't, the budget for, is not in the charter.
Right.
So, I mean, it depends on how the money is appropriated. I mean, you could appropriate money for that board to hire counsel. I mean, other boards have counsel and they don't have appropriations in the charter for counsel. Or
Yeah.
if you come out of the legal budget, town have to decide how it wants to
Yeah.
handle that request. And if it comes out either way, I mean,
It's gotta come from somewhere in the budget.
And that was my concern that the first selectman raised, like how, there has to be some way of saying you have to get the budget approval or the budget. Otherwise, the way it's written, you could expansively interpret it, right, as, well, we can just go hire external counsel now because you said we could.
Right, but if somebody came forward and said, I need a lawyer for something, a department head, I need a lawyer for something. I mean, as far as the process, I think is, I go to the town attorney and I say, I need a lawyer for this. And Phil goes, wow, that's gonna be a lot of money. I don't think it should come out of the legal budget. At that point, you'd have to go to the Board of Finance, have money allocated from, contingency or elsewhere, right?
But the department head doesn't have the right written in the charter to go retain outside counsel, right? Whereas we're writing that in, which I support, we're writing it in for the RTM, they have that right. And so is it a blank check?
It's not,
Well, no, it's not a blank check, but it feels like it might have been that way.
I mean, I don't think, I understand the comments. I mean, I don't think we want to say up to $50,000 because that would be kind of, that would be contentious as well. So do we want to,
Giving somebody the authority though isn't necessarily giving somebody.
see, I go back to what Jerry said.
Right, I mean,
He
like,
said, you may get counsel.
different.
What else do you need? I mean,
departments
yeah.
Can hire like experts for things, but if they don't have a budget, if
Right.
they,
That's
they
right.
do need to run it through channels, like,
I think the RT.
I think this is okay. I mean, you're just giving them the authority,
yeah, right.
not the
Again, that's-
permission,
that
not
was
the
your comment.
budget, not the,
Yeah,
I don't know.
if you guys are good with it, it's fine. I mean, I always wanted this when I was on the RTM. And I'm just thinking about it, whether or not there are practical limitations on it. But if you think it's limited to, having the money available, then
Let me ask this.
It is hard.
If, now that you empower the RTM to hire counsel, so the charter goes up for election, and the charter's approved. The RTM Rules Committee now creates the rules in which they're going to have the power to hire counsel. In the rules, they say, we go to the Board of Finance, and we get approval for this money. We don't need Board of Finance approval up to $10,000. Whatever they decide to do, the RTM then votes on it. So now they've empowered their own empowerment.
I don't think we can say we can get up to 10,000.
I don't either.
right?
No.
I don't either,
But I know
but,
what you're saying, that's.
okay, so I mean, I remember the first set of comments we got from the public. The town planning and zoning wanted their own lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Fish
true.
Commission wanted their own lawyer.
That's for sure.
And I asked the question, has anyone told me that they're dissatisfied with the legal opinions they're getting from the town attorney? Because I haven't heard that yet. Okay, so we decided here, the RTM is gonna be different. We're gonna empower them to have a lawyer. Okay, how they do that, we can't put in
Yeah.
the charter. So
Yeah.
we made them different, we empowered them. Let's see how it works out.
Well, if we added the words by a majority vote of the RTM, that kind of, gets away from the one rogue person who wants to call in a lawyer for every cat and dog. And then it defines, it kind of answers Marcy's question is, do I get to say it? Or no, it's the majority vote of the RTM. maybe that's where we add that.
Which also forces it to be public too, right?
Yes. Yeah, but you could say,
I like that.
you could say for legal, you don't have to say because somebody's suing us
Right,
because,
yeah, I
you
wasn't,
know, yeah.
I was on a positive, I
But
was.
I think that's, yeah,
It's a pretty good cautionary way to do it.
Yeah.
right? So where is that? Let me find that on the, what's the RTM section? Ah.
4.1C.
Okay. Thank you. 4.1C. Let me make sure I have the right.
You had it, it was there.
Yep, okay. So I make a motion to amend paragraph 4.1C at the end of the sentence where it says the RTM shall have the power to retain its own counsel.
The RTM by majority.
The RTM can only conduct business by a simple majority
That's what I
vote.
thought.
Well, that's a good point, right? Yeah.
True.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
We're gonna add all into everything, well, only by a majority vote, like it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you don't need.
It doesn't say
unless-
Karen
unless you
Wackerman
wanted
can
to
hire it.
specify a higher threshold for the vote, I think you don't need to say that.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, if you want to say something like 2/3, or if you wanted to
Then-
impose.
a super majority,
then-
that's
then I
different.
think
Yeah,
you
yeah,
need to
yeah.
Say the vote, but otherwise I don't think, I agree
Um,
with that.
That's
comment.
Do we want to take this up? I'll ask the question that way.
No.
Okay, great. I guess I could have saved a lot of time of it.
No, that was really.
It's a good discussion, and people.
I think it's good to discuss it,
Be
yes.
public.
Meeting requirements, consider having some minimum, and ensure notice is still required. So this, Ms. Griffin, I think it was Ms. Griffin, said, the town clerk wanted to remove the 10 meeting minimum requirement, but I still think some boards should have to meet at least quarterly. Do we want to take this up?
I think so. We talked about how we would leave it to them to be responsible to
I
do their job.
absolutely agree.
Some boards only meet when they need to meet, not regularly, so.
And the only, I did go back and kind of read about the Board of Assessment Appeals and how it's written there. We actually didn't change that. That exclusion was retained.
Yeah, absolutely. They've always had that exclusion of 10 meetings, right? And the Ethics Commission. The Ethics Commission is the other one that doesn't have to meet ever unless there's a claim or. Overall, provided home rule back, so Mr. Brown just gave us a description of home rule, which although greatly appreciated, I don't think we need to take up tonight. Agree?
Yep.
Simplify the charter much more and limit it to its bare requirements.
We talked about that a lot.
We
Yeah.
did. I would contend we
Could
have
have simplified that
simplified.
sentence without,
Yeah, I know.
you don't need the
I
much
would
more.
contend we have
I
simplified
wrote
the
that.
charter.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry.
No, that was my summary of Mr. Brown's email. No, I didn't read the comment.
Oh, this is definitely simplified from the real comment, yes, for sure. Yeah.
Much more.
Are we taking this up?
No.
Okay. Ms. Devlin and Mr. Brown asked, why can't you remove the police chief without cause? I think we've talked about this.
That's the state statute.
Statute.
It's statute.
Right.
We all said it.
Ms. Devlin said, well, because it falls under the, what was it, community safety or,
Public safety,
Public
she
safety,
said,
thank you
Chair.
very much.
Public safety, Chair.
since it comes under the public safety, why shouldn't you impose the same without cause, no, with cause, imposition on the fire chief that you've imposed on the police? But my answer that night was, because we don't have to. We have to do it for the police chief. If we didn't have to, I would say we would probably say without cause as well. So, do we want to take this up?
That's how all the other staff are. Right, it's just-
Correct. Don't add sorry?
Which is the next point. We're gonna-
Oh, yeah.
Don't add the removal without cause provision. Now, I just want to make sure we go through this. So, the charter as it exists today, a lot of these positions had no terms, so that was issue one. And the first selectman asked us, well, you guys should really define the terms. We've decided to remove the terms over here, but we were very clear that we were gonna add the 3 Rs, resign, retire, remove, right? To all of these positions. But as I remember, it's implied the way it is today that you can remove all the ones that we have without cause. It's implied in the charter today that you can be removed without cause. Is that correct?
So that's been the opinion of some past town attorneys. Other town attorneys took the position that the terms were coextensive with the first selectman's term and they would expire. There's a provision on when terms expire. And so that those first selectman appointments, those terms expired and they couldn't be removed without cause. I mean, it's not been interpreted consistently.
Okay.
Better to clarify it, maybe.
That was the comment from the first selectman.
Our charter from the first selectman was to clarify it, which I think we've done, so. Mr. Gerber.
I would just say that we had a department heads meeting, and this was the only thing that people were talking about. They were quite concerned about this, worried about that having this would make all positions political. You know, the new person comes in and brings in all their, you know, friends, wipes out their enemies, and, you know.
Couldn't they?
No, I don't think so.
Not what the charter says today.
Well, I think we'd have to have hearings, right, and, you know.
So what the commission has proposed is removal without cause.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't need here.
No, but today, if, you know, most of them are for cause, you know, you would have to.
Not, they're left to, from what I just understood, they're left to attorney interpretation because there's nothing.
During their term, they are removed they're removed for cause, but how long the term is uncertain.
Okay.
So for some, there's not been consistency in how that's been interpreted in the past because it's not clear. So, I mean, you guys, you decide what you want to do with it.
Are you saying if they have a term, then they can't be removed?
They're two related issues, because what the charter says currently is that unless an official or officer is removed, unless it says that they can be removed without cause, they can only be removed for cause. So that's the default rule.
Mm-hmm.
It is also unclear when terms end. Some town attorneys have said that the term ends when the first selectman's term ends, and they can get reappointed or not reappointed.
Right.
Some have said it's an indefinite term and it goes on forever.
And by us removing the terms of those appointed by the first selectman roles, they're, for all intent and purpose, they have no term. So this is what I remember. We said, let's remove, some of them don't have any terms, why don't we remove terms for everybody? But then I thought that the conversation was, well, then we have to be able to say, how will they ever be removed? And that's when we came up with the, you know, resign, retire, removed. And then we further added, and you can do that without cause.
Does that come back to their employees at will?
Well, it's an at-will stay, right?
It's an at-will state.
That's where I'm at.
It's an at-will state unless they have an employment contract.
Unless they have an employment
It
contract.
says it's subject to employment contracts.
And we do reference that a couple times.
Yeah, and so,
The chiefs, right?
Yeah, well, I think maybe some others, I don't know, I'm not sure. But do you think it will discourage people, like, they'll want to leave or
Well, maybe not leave, but it might be harder to recruit people. That's sort of what I'm hearing, is that people will see that and think, okay, you know, it's not a long-term job.
Job for 4 years.
But what I'm concerned about, though, I don't want to
I think
get in a
most towns just have
situation
a couple
where,
positions, like they're
we-
usually sorry.
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, it was like a sidebar.
Yeah,
Well, I don't want to be in a position where it's an undefined term.
Right.
And you can only be removed for cause.
right,
Like,
Right.
that leads to mediocrity.
yeah.
Like, no.
That's worse than people not
Exactly.
wanting to come in because I think I'm gonna get fired every time somebody,
Right, so
first selectman comes
I
in.
feel like if we take out the remove cause, without cause, then I feel like you have to put a term in.
But why would that lead to mediocrity? If you're reviewing people and you see that they're constantly not meeting their,
Because getting people, like firing people for cause is like pain. We got lawyers in the room. I mean, that's like really hard.
Yeah, like you literally can't I thought the rule was you can't, I know, in my businesses, we couldn't fire somebody for cause unless we eliminated their position.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably the easiest.
Or we have like multiple years of
Maybe that's
documented
the
poor
claim
performance.
it was easier,
reviews, you know,
right.
It's just like,
Yeah.
you know, and so,
Let me just say, I agree with you. So if we're not gonna have without cause, then we have to put terms.
Yeah.
And they're all gonna hate to terms, because guess what? It's gonna be 4 years coincident with the first selectman election.
Right.
I agree with
That's
that.
what I'm gonna, right?
The language is uncomfortable because it speaks to the reality that exists to begin with.
Right.
You're an employee at will and you can be fired at any time,
Right.
you know, and so the fact that it's going into the charter, I certainly appreciate that that makes people uncomfortable. It's a statement of reality.
I don't think I have that reassurance at my job. You know?
Chair, what is
So what would your department heads prefer we put in here? Nothing?
Like
We
DPW.
didn't get that far.
I'm
But
I'm sure.
I think that this change made something that may have existed more obvious.
Made it obvious.
But they're usually only like,
And I think in reality, if someone was going to be let go, it would be for cause, it would be a documented, it would either be a restructuring or whatever, but otherwise you would document the reasons and, you know, they'd have a right to a hearing and all that.
Well, if we don't say anything, it still is a possibility to without cause.
If we don't say anything, then it's left to attorney interpretation every time. So,
and even when they had terms, like, they used to, at least I've heard of stories, I shouldn't admit it, they would take their resignation letter upon their reappointment and put it in the mayor's desk, you know? And so I'll reappoint you, but I need your resignation letter and I can pull this out anytime I want.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Oh, my God.
I mean,
Ay, ay, ay.
sure.
I think Bill kind of prompted me to think about this. If you want to interview somebody and you tell them that it might change after the first 4 years, they might not want the job.
Anybody
I
take
can't really worry about a
Anybody
municipal
taking
employee
the
worrying
fix that?
about, I just, these are not
Guys.
lifelong jobs.
Chair, are we getting into the weeds in terms of an infrastructure issue? I mean, just let's think, what's the practice right now?
Terms.
Do people say?
Inconsistent.
It's inconsistent. Some roles don't have terms and some roles do.
I can't hear you. There's too much talking in the back.
Okay, can we have
Chair.
one conversation? There, some of the roles don't have terms. So that would lead to
Right.
a attorney opinion, which our town attorney just told us 5 minutes ago, there's been multiple and they're not always consistent.
and I believe you said that there is a section of the charter that says when a term is not defined, then it defaults to only removal.
But not
or-
term, when, it says when, unless an officer is removable without cause.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
Yes.
Explicitly,
then
right.
The default is,
For just Attorney Pierce, if you could answer this question.
yeah.
If it's not specific in the employment agreement or engagement, then isn't Commissioner McInerney's point, aren't they all at-will employees?
Well, not the officers. The officers currently under the charter, some of them would be removal only for cause, but the question then becomes, well, when does their term end? And that's part of
Right.
what has been not interpreted consistently. There is always the possibility of giving any employee an employment agreement. So you could, even with this provision, you could have employment agreements with employees.
I think that's a much better way to handle it, Chair. It's my humble opinion. If you engage with an agreement, the agreement relegates the activity, sets forth the terms, and to try to articulate each nuance, I'd rather give the chief executive of the town the ability and that power. Again, lending the power to people you trust, do a good job.
I think the employment agreement, would be Board of Selectmen approval.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
But-
fine.
But you, I mean, and you guys asked for that language on, except as provided in an employment agreement or a collective bargaining agreement.
Right, because there was two employees that are,
Well, I think just the tax collector.
oh, the tax collector, that's right, yeah.
So what I think you're telling us we've done by putting termination without cause is we've given a uniform rule within the charter
Right,
that allows the town to act in accordance with at-will employment. Because if you don't have without cause in the charter, then each and every termination is an ad hoc consideration leading to getting a guy like me bringing a lawsuit against the town of Fairfield for wrongful discharge. So if you put in the charter without cause, now we have a uniform system, it's at will, and everybody's treated the same way, and we move forward. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, this certainly clarifies that baseline, for sure.
And I think to Dan's point, though, people can negotiate employment contracts.
Get a contract.
But
Just, Jerry, you're not, Commissioner McInerney, you're not incorrect. The challenge becomes, right? In that proviso, it always goes back to some employment engagement. And because any of those officials that we're talking about here are going to want employment agreements of some sort that go back to a job description, and then they satisfy those job descriptions. So they do get hired and they can diligently execute their duties. So I'd like to give whatever selectman it is, or the Board of Selectmen, I'd like to give them some latitude to hire the people they need to run the town and give them the ability to get rid of people that are just not doing their job. And maybe that's the employment agreement. Maybe it's both. I'm kind of torn, Chair, on those
well,
topics.
yeah, well, okay, so, what are we putting in the charter?
I think we leave.
I don't know, we're not memorializing employment agreements, I don't think, right?
No, we're
we
not.
already said that provision is subject to any existing employment agreement or whatever, something like that. So we've already kind of included that.
Right. You can decide
So
person to
the-
person.
So we're not taking this up.
I don't want to, but
I don't know what to.
You did take it up.
Yeah, that's true.
We just took it up.
So Mr. Gerber, I guess just as a maybe an informality, I mean, I would say to the department heads, listen, we're either gonna put without cause, or you're gonna have a term limit. Pick one. And then your board will have this for a good couple of weeks, because so let me start this way.
term
The
limit-
way it is right now is we should not move forward. That was your recommendation. Do not move forward without terms, right? So short of putting terms in, which I've had two department heads tell me, I don't want to have a term. Okay, then you have to have this.
Does a term limit become an implied contract?
Yeah.
A term limit?
He's talking about the length of the term.
Right.
The
So,
term, yeah.
so right now, one interpretation of the charter is it's a lifetime appointment,
Right.
right? It's a lifetime appointment and you're only removable for cause unless it says you're without cause. That has been one interpretation of the charter. Another one is that the positions run contemporaneously with the first selectman. I mean, so it's really,
But that interpretation runs contemporaneously with the first selectman could be interpreted as a 4-year contract.
correct.
You got an implied contract.
Right, and it's a 4-year, correct.
And I
It's a
can't,
4-year
I
contract.
can't terminate the
Yes.
person unless I have cause, and I have to establish cause. So that's why you put without cause in.
Right.
Commissioner McInerney, you have a employment agreement that says you can remove people with or without cause.
Right.
Right.
'Cause that would obviate because that would rule.
Right, if there's an employment agreement, that overrules everything. It's a contract.
Correct.
Are we taking up this clause? Nothing hurt.
Part of that sounds like it may just be an information campaign, right? Like, I mean, those people that,
Yeah.
we're not doing this so that we can get rid of anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not really gonna change.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
What Phil said scared me, is like that you can interpret this as a lifetime employment with only removal for cause?
Exactly.
Like, you gotta be kidding me.
I won't that do?
Okay, we're not taking this up.
No,
Next, don't enshrine in the charter, especially COO.
oh, God.
Was that a very specific COO? Don't put the COO in the charter, is that?
Yeah, a couple, yeah.
Are we taking this up?
No.
No, we just talked about it, Chair.
Well, we're going through each one. I want to make sure we're going through each.
Yeah.
Post minutes promptly.
Eric, what are you doing?
Very late.
I don't post
We've
them.
been late?
I'm joking, I'm
To be
joking.
fair, we've not been as prompt as we could have been.
You have a day job?
Okay,
We're supposed to be under FOIA.
exactly. Point taken, move on.
That's just a
Are we taking
complaint.
this up?
No,
No,
Requested revision. It's just a complaint.
Include the Board of Selectmen in the process,
I have been. This whole charter
in this process. It's like one of all three of the selectmen have been in meetings.
Right.
Every one of them. Maybe not at the same time. Reorder the source numbers.
There's a misunderstanding around how I've ordered it here versus how they're labeled in the website. It's not right.
Are we taking this up?
no.
Okay, we've gone through the RTM comments already. Shift to ordinance. Shift Article 9 to code. Are we taking this up?
And we talked about it.
Yes, ma'am. Shift as many of our changes as possible to ordinance. Are we taking this up? The tree warden, I never thought in my life we'd be talking about tree warden so much on the Charter Revision Commission, but yet here it is again. Tree warden is required to be 2 years.
But because
You
of
said
the
Home rule.
Home rule.
Perfect.
Are we
Home
taking
rule.
this up?
No,
Shift ethics terms to start April 1st.
It's not July 1st.
Right, this,
Okay,
this,
why?
Ms. Ewing, this also
Oh.
came from the prior, a member of the prior charter commission.
2022.
Charter Revision Commission, and the thinking there, and it kind of plays back into the point on the RTM approval of appointments, was that in theory, I don't know the actual history here, but sometimes they've run into issues where in the summer months, the RTM isn't meeting as much, needing the RTM approval, they don't get the members, and so then they have vacancies and have trouble running the business.
And they have to have four out of the 5 at their meetings.
Okay, so it's a quorum kind of issue.
It's been a problem in the past, but
So ethics takes the summer
But I thought, but
No, I think the RTM takes the
wait a minute.
Yeah,
When I
yeah.
brought this up before,
Get off.
the town attorney said, well, we could do this ahead of time.
And that's happened. So that's what happened last year with ethics appointments. They were appointed to take effect as of July 1.
Yeah, sounds like good
It happened
practice.
before. So, but you can also move it up to April 1st.
Does anyone want to take this up? I'll take a look
I
at
would
it.
have pushed on it more, but
Legislate
the point of the
beginning.
the
At least I don't like
pre-appointment
to.
that Phil was talking about, like that
Yeah, it's just-
that seems to solve it. It just requires Board of Selectmen to plan ahead.
Legislating.
It's not an issue.
Well, emergency.
You know what I mean? Like,
Emergency.
We tried to do this, and one of the selectmen said,
Right.
like, you don't want to take it.
So just so we're clear, the Ethics
Abstain.
Commission says, Ethics Commission A3, terms shall commence July 1st, terms of members shall be 2 years. Do we want to take this up?
Did we-
Would it screw anything up in any other way?
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, actually.
I think it appears at 2 places in the charter. It's really up to you guys. You can change it.
So you want to be doing this during budget season? Just saying.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't be, you'd be doing it in March.
Would be bad,
You'd
yeah.
be doing it in March, April, because it has to be done by April 1st.
Right.
And you don't start till April,
And it
whatever.
wouldn't be everybody.
Yeah.
On the Ethics Commission, it might just be
Yeah.
one vacancy.
let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to change what is now paragraph 1014, Ethics Commission A3.
And 3.3.
And 3 points, yeah, right,
Those are 2
yep.
places.
And paragraph 3.3, to say the term shall commence, it now says July 1st, change it to April 1st. Let me just see 3.3 to
Same
make
as the
sure.
golf commission then, which is maybe easier.
Ethics in golf.
Yeah. They go together
Favorites.
so well.
Yeah.
Worked out better for me.
Are you waiting for a second?
I'm just looking at terms of office.
You can go on to.
And on 3.3,
Get both.
unless provided by, so
I mean, what I just
we
did
would
is,
just take out
you just take out the whose term
whose term commence, yeah.
of July 1.
So in 3.3, change the language to say whose term shall commence on July 1st, now is April 1st, and remove the words whose terms commence April 1st, right?
No, I think you delete
Whose term shall
whose
commence on
term-
July 1. So it says the
Oh,
ethics
got it.
commission and the
Yeah.
golf
Exactly.
commission.
Remove the July 1st reference, keep the April 1st, got it, okay. Okay, may I have a second now? Commissioner McCann, any further discussion?
Question, do we need to add in transition language?
Oh, for crying out
Like the transition.
If we're gonna add transition language, I'm voting against it.
I mean,
Seriously. Yeah, because somebody's gonna be, someone who's
Short term, right?
gonna
Or
get
long-term.
shorted out of May, June, and
Short or
July.
long term?
No, if you think, if you're on the Ethics Commission right now and you think you're getting kicked off in July, you're getting kicked off in April.
Or we say, no, you're actually
Oh.
extended to April.
Oh, you're extended to next
We could
April.
write that in the, we could write that in the transition, could we? I don't know, I'm just.
Yeah, no,
I feel like we
no,
have
it's a
to do
good point, it's a good
transition.
point.
Fine.
Gap that where you have to address.
Yeah.
Change.
Either like shorten it or lengthen it, one of the two.
That's a little more problematic.
Yeah, that's, yeah. I retract my motion. Someone else wants to make a motion. I don't know if it's worth the effort, to be perfectly honest with you, especially given the fact that we can.
I retract my second.
Okay, good. Well done. Okay,
All right,
we won't take this
never
up.
mind.
Building
it out.
official term required to be 4 years per statute.
It's home rule, okay?
Okay, no rules.
Health director term can't exceed 3 years.
So this actually, so the 3-year applies to health districts. We're not a health district.
Oh,
So that statute's
okay.
applicable. The statute on health directors is, I think it actually might be 4 years, but in any event, it can be superseded. But the 3-year one is
Not applicable.
is not applicable
Okay.
anyway.
Under town attorney, remove the ex officio status for town attorney, changing appointing body from the first selectman to the board of selectmen, ensure impartial hiring process. Does anyone want to take this? Let me get to the town attorney. Let me just look at this real quick.
The Board of Selectmen sets the town attorney's compensation and is required to approve contracts. But it, I mean, it is a first selectman.
Selection, yeah.
So I guess what it says today, the town attorney shall be appointed by the first select person and shall be, yeah.
We can change that.
Yeah.
Sorry, we can, you said, or we?
We didn't.
We did not change it. No, she's saying she wants it, she wants it to be the
Oh,
board
it
of selectmen.
wasn't like a criticism, okay.
She believes that that ensures impartial hiring process.
Right.
And also removing the ex officio status, which I don't know why you would do that, because why wouldn't want your town attorney, at least for meetings and executive sessions?
Right,
I mean, that's where you want most of the town attorneys, right?
yeah. I would
My
think so.
experience.
Write them in, right?
Yeah, you could have ex officio.
You could, but
It's a strange request.
I don't think we should.
are we
do
taking this up?
It's a good idea to professionalize it, but I think it is, right now, it is professionalized, having a whole firm. It's been, yeah.
What's we talking about?
That the town attorney position, having it be more professional and more,
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that. It is beneficial to have a firm rather than a person, right? But, yeah. I don't know, I don't know if that's
We
appropriate.
don't really
I
have
think
strong, we don't really have a strong, like, first selectman. Like, I mean, it doesn't look like in the powers that it's,
It's not. Yeah.
like, and we're gonna try to neuter, like, that position further.
You also, I mean, you also removed the requirement that they be a Fairfield resident.
Yeah.
Which is,
We did.
Good.
And an elector. Well, oh,
Right.
that's implied by
which is
not
good,
being.
because that's very limiting.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that is all our public comments. So, I'll just make a statement that if we do vote this forward tonight, from tomorrow on, any other additional comments we'll collect on the website and we'll address. So I was gonna add, so this is, I'm glad I just said that. So we're gonna deliver this to the first selectman early, maybe, but they're gonna do a bunch of work and they're gonna come back with some changes.
They may, they're not obligated. to.
They're not obligated to make, but let's just say they change something. That's pure veto authority, right? We can't go back and say, no, we don't agree with your changes, right? It's pure veto authority. But can we, at that point, then add, like, if tomorrow the greatest recommendation to the charter ever comes through, I mean, should we funnel those changes through to the Board of Selectmen? Or should you then take possession of the the taxpayer comments going forward?
Well, I mean, hopefully people will submit comments to the Board of Selectmen, but if you guys receive comments and you think that they're good comments, I think you should pass those on to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, so we will do that. If we receive any comments through our website, we'll forward those on to the Board of Selectmen, just for, I think, and I think we should probably, I hate to use the word filter them, but I don't want you to get 50 emails that say the exact same thing that we've already voted on.
I don't know, maybe we should send them everything.
We got them.
I have a question.
Please.
As it pertains to procedure,
Mm-hmm.
we vote and submit the proposed charter to the Board of Selectmen. They meet and decide that things are not, that they don't approve portions of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it your understanding that they send that back, they have vetoed that provision, or it's for us to say, we like it and we're giving it to you?
Yeah, that's my question.
I think it's, we get to say, this is our decision, and we give it to you.
So this is the process is they can make recommendations, which basically sends it back to you for more
back.
work.
Right.
And then at that point, if they've made recommendations to you and you receive those, you then will make a final report. And then if they make no recommendations to you, then you have a final report. And then the board can vote to either approve or reject the charter or portions of it. And then what's approved, I think can go to the ballot at that point.
So the veto that Chris referred to would be as to the second submission after their recommendations have been considered and sent back. They then can veto portions of our suggested charter and then submit that charter to the town for vote.
Correct.
Okay.
See, I'm hung up on the word final report, though. So it says, if the Board of Selectmen made a recommendation to the CRC's draft report, then the CRC shall make its final report to the Board of Selectmen. Now, I think the report is what Commissioner Treshik does, which is the overview. A final report to me doesn't mean that we can revise the charter again. So the way I read it is, goes to the Board of Selectmen, you have complete veto authority, unless you want to ask our opinion, you have complete veto authority, and we just update our output report and done. That's the way I'm interpreting
If they
it.
have no comments.
If they have no comments, then we're just good to go as it is, right?
And I thought if they have comments, we come back and we consider the comments.
It says the commission shall confer with the appointing authority, that's the Board of Selectmen, concerning any recommendations and may amend provisions of the proposed charter.
Where is that?
This is the statute.
Oh, I'm looking at the timeline.
The
you guys
timeline
have
is the
provided.
summary, but the statute, so I mean, you'd have to, you do have the ability to make additional changes at that point.
Okay.
But doesn't, in the timeline, doesn't draft report mean the red line charter?
Draft report is what you're voting on
Yeah.
at this point. You're sending them a
Yeah.
draft.
So it's
not
not the
final
report, it's the red line charter is what that's the draft report.
That was just, that's what I was trying to get at.
So, and it says in the statute, submit its draft report, including the proposed charter. The draft report is.
Got it,
is-
okay.
is-
So it's the overview and the charter.
Yes.
Can I just add one question to that? What we're submitting to the Board of Selectmen is not a redlined document. It is a fresh document that is a new proposed charter as compared to the 2006 charter.
I think we're gonna submit both. I
Both.
think we're submitting both just to make make it easy for them to understand what has been changed.
Okay, okay, that's fine. You know me, I don't like this red line, blue line stuff.
Yeah, no,
like
I
the
get it.
document. Give me the document.
Okay, so we're
What I
going,
hate even more is having to compare documents.
I can't do it.
Using that tool just in.
yeah, the compared document tool in
Give me a
Word
red
is pretty crappy. Okay, so we submit to the town clerk submits to the Board of Selectmen. In 45 days, let's see, not later than 45 after 45 days after you get it from the town clerk, you have to hold a public hearing, and then you have 15 days to give us back the report. And if there are changes, we will meet on them, we can amend them if we want, and then we would respond back to you in no more than 30 days.
So the public hearing the selectmen have is on the same document that we had our public hearing on,
Well,
right?
no, it's on the
No,
document that you're.
on whatever
vote
they've-
out, Whatever you vote out tonight or on Monday.
Right.
That's what they have their public hearing on.
Okay. Small changes.
And they can meet and discuss it before that public hearing. That public hearing triggers their 15-day deadline to send it back to you.
I see, okay.
Well, so they don't get a cut at the charter before they have the public meeting?
They do.
No, they do.
So it's not the same document, unless they don't change anything?
No, they don't get a revision to it, but they can discuss it.
Oh, got it, okay. So when
I mean, they
you,
should
so when you hold your public meeting, you're gonna show, you can go to the website and say, here's what we're gonna discuss today at the public meeting, it'll be the exact same document we have. A week after that, you might change everything, but,
Or ask us to change.
or ask us to change it, right? Okay.
And just as a suggestion, we give our proposed document to the Board of Selectmen. Are we not better served, the people better served, and the Board of Selectmen better served by then putting a notice on the website that as of now, considerations of public comments are no longer part of the duty of the, not duty, but the work product of the Charter Revision Commission? Please direct all to, is the Board of Selectmen address.
I mean, I would say to send it to both.
Send it to both?
You guys should still
Yeah.
get those comments, because you might
Okay.
get
We might get
feedback
it
from the
back.
Board of
Okay,
Selectmen.
then it's fine then.
Yeah.
But you're right, the Board of Selectmen needs to get those comments.
You know, you shouldn't be laying it on your doorstep to have the responsibility of channeling it to the Board of Selectmen.
Agree.
The public should be
Well,
doing.
just a clarifying point, the process works, the comments come in, I send them to Jen,
Okay,
Oh,
who posts them on the website.
right.
So that still has to happen.
So
she
then
can
just
give
say-
them to the board, right?
Post them and give them to the board at the same time.
Phil, you'd like us.
So we just
to-
continue
Also.
same process and she'll just give them to the
Okay.
board and post them on the
Actually,
website.
Dave Kelly, when you fill
Yeah,
out the
Dave
form,
could
it's
make it.
Dave does it. Dave-
Okay.
She's gotta do it anyway, okay.
Yeah, and we'll do all of them, like whoever sends them, they'll go to her and, you know, whether
Okay,
they're done. but-
are there any other comments?
Well, I guess the question is that are we including some sort of summary with our red line charter?
Absolutely.
If we do we have to vote on that?
Okay, then why don't you put up your summary up on the board right there? Because your summary is
We have to
the
we have to
summary.
revise a couple of things.
Okay.
Let's see, do you have it?
Don't you have it in a Google Doc or?
I do have it in the Google Doc, let me go ahead and.
You want to just email me the link?
Right, I wanna-
I don't think they published it.
Is it? No, it is published on the website. I think it's changed from the one that's on the website. I think that's the issue.
Change
Oh, the
tonight.
prior summary document.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then summary of draft.
Are we responsible for any sort of like public information campaign or?
You are. You weren't here, we voted.
Or is this thing just gonna be the same
Two
thing?
meetings,
Can we,
If you have to ask, you're responsible.
No?
can we
So right now, I think it is shared with you.
Oh, hell yeah, we're gonna.
Well, yeah,
Chris,
it's
it's-
you, but you're not obligated to, I mean, that.
No, I don't mean.
I haven't been to the
I don't
polls.
mean
I don't hear- I'm going to
obligated,
the
I mean
polls
like,
this year. I already told my boss.
is it better
Take it
to
off
come
that day and
from
go to
this?
the polls.
I personally think it needs to be done.
president?
No, I went, I
Do you
didn't
accept
stand
that
at the polls, you
premise?
know.
Oh,
Would it be
yeah,
better
yeah,
to
yeah.
come
Oh, yeah,
from
we
the
could stand in the
CRC
polls.
or from the BO?
Doesn't matter.
She'll find you.
That's a good question, I don't know.
I just emailed you the link.
Yeah, that's a good
Like one, for example, like I sent it out to like my neighborhood list, you know?
425.
And one of them said that he works at the polls and he firsthand like experienced a lot of the confusion at the last one. Like it wasn't all just because it was negative, it was because it was because of the confusion. At least that's what he had said to me. Like people were coming up to him, he's a poll worker, were coming up to him and saying, what's this thing with the
Right.
charter revision? But I'm too scared, I'm just gonna say no. Like
Yeah.
that's safer, that's safer
Yeah.
than, you know?
True. it needs-
I'm
And
going,
he's not supposed to answer questions and lead people a certain way.
I don't wanna ruin it, but I was gonna approach the Board of Selectmen and figure out exactly what we can do, because I think there needs to be, just like this comment we had about when we were gonna change the form of government, that we need a one-year campaign. We need to have a little bit of a campaign here. You know, people have to know that there's a charter on the books, and that they should be looking for it, and you wanna get an overview. And I'll put something in your newsletter, of course, but, okay, am I sharing, there it is, okay. Let me see if I can make it a little,
Website.
okay.
Well, I think what we would need to do, just kind of going down the list of changes, so if we go down to
Hold on, let me get there.
the bottom of page 1, I just highlighted that right now. We would remove that, right?
Yeah.
That comes
Yes,
away. That gets, do you want me to just delete it or?
yeah,
like-
please, yeah, do it,
Okay,
go for it, yeah.
so that's out. The fixing the errors of flood, that's not there.
Was the 10%, we left the 10% or we changed it?
We took no action.
We changed, that's a minor change, and add table of contents. We did, the other thing was probably adding the chairperson, in the summary of, where was it, down here?
I think it was in the,
Yeah, I just made a note here. And so at the bottom of page, what is this, keep going.
on page 2.
Why wouldn't you just have it where you have updated?
Yeah,
select
bottom of
person?
page 2. Keep going up a little bit more. Right, stop, so, updated.
Selectmen to gender neutral select person, now you're gonna add updated chairman to gender neutral chairperson.
Chairman to, and chairperson, right?
Say, make it general neutral.
Yeah, you could just.
Yeah.
To gender neutral, just.
No, it's good, leave it, what the hell? More so, this is, if anybody has a problem with that, don't vote for it, I mean, give me, this is.
I think that was, that be it, we need to change?
Finance, you said it was.
I
I mean,
mean,
there were a couple of minor like drafting points.
Yeah, I think
We
that was
changed
that
the-
you
Maybe
changed.
that
We
was.
changed the date.
At the top?
No, you guys didn't, you
So we
reverted
didn't, we went
back.
back?
we reverted back.
Okay, I couldn't keep track.
And this one now becomes 5/8. So,
That's great.
That's not bad if that's all you
Good
can
job.
change. Pretty good.
So much for doing this.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we just gotta get it, we gotta get it out there.
Yeah.
Like, and you look and you Google and they all do it. I mean, like, I just Googled it just now and it's like, you know, I saw these publications from Greenwich, from
Oh.
Stanford. I mean, just Google it, just, and sometimes just take a look. Like, they usually do like a summary and then they do some sort of public information campaign.
This is
I
a
mean,
great.
We gotta be honest with you, like, people don't go to a town website to look at
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
This is a great summary.
Like,
This is awesome.
it's one of the better ones.
Compared to what it was, it
People
sure
don't-
is, yeah.
this link is not gonna be right.
With the exception of Judy.
Now I
Just send that to, well, if we vote it, well,
Actually, will be right, it's this, okay, never mind, it's the directory.
so I'll start with this. I make a motion to approve the overview that Chairman Tressick just shared with us.
Overview or summary?
Overview or summary, sorry.
Summary, right? That was the word you used.
Summary report, we'll deliver that. I guess
Second.
deliver that to Jen. Yes, thank you. Commissioner Wackerman seconded. Well, should we just deliver it to?
Betsy.
Well, you have to.
We have to deliver it to
go the town
Betsy.
clerk, yeah.
You should probably be the one to send it as the chair.
Okay.
So it can just give you the PDF.
Send it to me and then we'll, can you send me the red line and a clean version tomorrow morning? Okay.
You go.
No.
Agenda item 9, review and approve final draft document to move forward to the Board of Selectmen.
We didn't vote on the summary, right?
No, we did
We
not.
did. Oh, no, we didn't.
Yeah.
All in favor of moving the summary forward? 700 approved. Commissioner Blanco, you're a yes, right? Just leave.
Watching the game.
Lucky guy.
Review and, agenda item 9, review and approve final draft document. I make a motion that we approve and move forward to the town clerk and then subsequently to the Board of Selectmen, the draft charter that we discussed this evening.
Second,
Commissioner Tressick.
just one
Seconded.
clarifying question.
Yes.
Do we need to amend that to say with a table of contents attached?
No.
Or do we do that at the very end of this process?
I'd like it to be on before, but I mean, I don't know how long, is that gonna take
I
a
mean,
while?
that's an administrative thing, so I mean, it doesn't really make sense in the red line, because the numbers get all screwed up.
Yeah.
Maybe in the clean
I'm good.
version?
I'm good. We can include it in the final. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't probably have to.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move this document forward. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. 700 approve. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ex officio on this board?
Everything.
Judy's ex.
I make a motion to adjourn.
So hold on, no, we're not done yet.
I'm allowed to make a motion.
You have to do your response to his comments and the town clerk also with the package, right? Doesn't he have to do that with the package?
Oh, right, the ones that you prepared, that specifically
Yeah,
address
you guys,
what we were
but
asked.
you guys have, you already have.
We already submitted
you have
those,
to- You have to include that in what gets submitted to Betsy.
but we haven't changed those, so
Did you
there's,
vote on that or anything, or?
we've already voted on it, we already moved forward.
Unless, are there any changes to that?
I mean, you could add to the gender neutral, you could add to that part.
They're not really that specific. One.
I think it was not, yeah, I think the document was it's pretty high level.
It's pretty high, yeah. So, yeah, no, and that wasn't, those are specific comments that the town clerk and the, I mean, I could, listen.
Unless there's something we changed tonight.
Terms of office, nope. Advisory bodies, nope. Term of office,
Sort
nope.
of like a wax sealed envelope, like it shouldn't just be like an email.
Yeah, that's true. And
Like
there
Chris should like
be,
hand
guards
deliver it
trumpeting.
with like. sort of
Like
ceremony.
wax, like a wax
Yeah.
seal?
Yeah.
And maybe a ceremony,
His ring?
I can do that, I can go, I can.
some buglers.
Bagpipes.
Big trumpeters.
You deliver it with the politically incorrect
On a
town
pillow.
seal on it.
That's right.
Oh, that's good.
That's right. Okay, agenda item 10, discussion on next meeting. I make a motion that we cancel the May 12th meeting.
Second the motion.
Oh, you said-
Yeah, that's true.
Any discussion, first and second? Any discussion? All in favor of canceling the 5/12 meeting, say aye. Aye. Agenda item 11, public comment. Got anything, Judy?
I'll send it,
You'll send it.
You'll send me public comment?
send it to the commission and to the board of selectmen. Because you didn't want to discuss it, so I won't bring it up now. It was the 10%. The reason I'm going to press for that is because it's also part of a Supreme Court decision And every single redistricting plan that's come forth since 1982 has included the 10%.
We're complying with that, though. We're making it less than 10%.
Yeah, but if you put 10% or less, it includes all the 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
It also includes 10.1 and 10.2 and 10.3.
The attorneys recommended not
Say,
having 10.
Not to exceed 10%, it includes everything else. And I think it should say 10%.
Keep that in mind, Bill.
Because if the 10%, if the next charter revision uses 10%, you can't deny it because it's part of a Supreme Court decision. It probably wouldn't go to court.
I wouldn't think so.
People wouldn't
Don't have anyone on.
Do you want me to send the summary to the whole?
That's why I think this
Yes,
is.
please.
I agree with you.
May I have a
far
moment of
off.
personal privilege?
Oh, of course, yes, please.
The
I would-
DOJ did not
I know
just
we
have-
did this
we have a-
last time, but I wanted to really, really thank our chairman and vice chair and our attorney for helping us get through this. We never could have gotten through, we never could have accomplished this except with your organization and your moving us forward, propulsion,
Absolutely.
and your guidance. So thank you so much.
Kudos to you guys.
Appreciate that, thank you. Thank you very much. And I just want to thank all the commissioners. It's been a collaborative effort. We had a little rough start at the beginning, losing a commissioner, but we bounced back pretty quick, mostly because you were willing to take on some tasks, and Commissioner Treshik did more than his share of taking on administrative tasks that, that he wasn't owning up to at the beginning of this thing, so.
With
very
my
much
number of last names, I fulfilled a quorum anytime.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that was my strategy, see? I'll take a motion to adjourn. Mr. Hoag, second.
Nobody wants to adjourn.
Yeah. Commissioner Wackerman, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 700 crew.
Right.
Fantastic, guys.
Both serious
Night, team.
disclosures on that one.
Good night, Daniel.